Chapter 1229. Sudden changes of the Turtle Clan. The only place Jian Chen could temporarily stay in the Sea Realm was the Turtle Clan, so after his conversation with the Sea Goddess, he headed to the Turtle Clan's territory with newbies. The space within the Sea Realm was much tougher than outside. Saint Kings could not rip open the space there to create space gates, so Jian Chen and newbies could only fly to the Turtle Clan. It's said that the barrier around the Sea Realm can prevent the entry of foreign Saint Kings, yet I've entered the Sea Realm as a foreign Saint King without any difficulty at all. Probably only the two of us can enjoy such a great treatment. Newbies could not help but laugh freely as they flew. Oh right, Jian Chen, that big fellow is still cultivating in the artifact space. He doesn't seem to have come to the Sea Realm before, so you might as well let him out to have a look, said newbies again. Jian Chen immediately thought of Tai Ta, who had always been cultivating within the artifact space. Hesitating slightly, he still ended up calling him out. With a flash of golden light, Tai Ta's burly body appeared by Jian Chen's side. His skin carried a faint, golden luster as a gentle, golden light shone from his body. It seemed like his skin was made from gold. Since Tai Ta's identity was just far too sensitive on the Tianyun continent, Jian Chen never dared to let him appear in front of others. After all, the war god of the 100 races had provoked the beast god continent and the Tianyun continent in ancient times. As soon as the news that the war god had returned made its way out, he would not be able to keep Tai Ta safe with his current strength. However, the Sea Realm was different. In ancient times, only the Sea race did not participate in the war, so they did not have any enmity with the war god. To the various experts of the Sea Realm, perhaps the appearance of the war god would have nothing to do with them, much less lead to any conflicts of interest. Exactly because of that, Jian Chen allowed Tai Ta to appear in the Sea Realm in such a bold fashion without any worry. This was the first time Tai Ta had come to the Sea Realm, so he constantly looked around as soon as he appeared outside the artifact space. He was extremely curious about everything, so he asked Jian Chen and newbies about everything. Jian Chen and newbies explained everything to Tai Ta as they traveled. They shared everything they knew with him without hiding anything. The three of them maintained a straight course as they flew to where the Turtle Clan was. They flew over many large clans, which caused many experts to come up to stop them. However, since they let their presences radiate out without holding back, the aggressive experts immediately became bright red. They would politely clasp their hands to the three of them before obediently backing off. After flying for several hours, the three of them finally arrived at the Turtle Clan. However, what they saw was not a prosperous clan, but a battleground dyed with blood. Blood had pooled into small streams with many corpses strewn across the ground. Not only were there members of the Turtle Clan, there were other people as well, but all of the other people wore the same attire. It was possible to tell with a single glance that they belonged to the same organization. Meanwhile, the many, grand structures of the clan had been reduced to ruins by the battle as well. Bloody marks were present everywhere. 200-meter-wide pits had been dug far away. Between the ruins of the clan, several dozen people in the same attire worked arduously as they moved the corpses. They moved all the corpses into the two large pits to bury them. Hundreds, possibly even thousands, of dead people were already stacked inside. Jian Chen and newbies, who had just arrived, revealed a drastically different expression when they saw this. Only Tai Ta, who was clueless, remained composed as he observed the ruined territory of the Turtle Clan. Jian Chen hovered several hundred meters in the air as he stared blankly at the horrifying landscape. His face was filled with shock and disbelief. He had even begun to doubt his eyes at that moment. Suddenly, fury surged in Jian Chen's heart. Great killing intent radiated from him without control, causing the surrounding temperature to plummet, as if it had turned into an ice cavern. Jian Chen suddenly vanished from the air. By the time he had appeared, he had already traversed 1,000 meters, arriving beside a middle-aged man who was moving corpses. He grabbed the man by the clothes on his chest and loudly demanded, "What's happened to the Turtle Clan? Speak." The middle-aged man was only an Earth Saint Master, so Jian Chen's vast presence and icy-cold killing intent pressed against his chest like a mountain, making breathing difficult for him. He had almost suffocated, and he instantly paled. The middle-aged man understood just how terrifying Jian was. He even felt like he was stared into a death god's eyes as he looked at Jian's cold pupils. They seemed like they could suck away his soul at any moment. Warrior, the Turtle Clan's been wiped out by the Tao family. I am a member of the Tao family, so I hope you can spare my life on behalf of the clan, the middle-aged man replied to Jian with a trembling voice. His heart was filled with fear. At the same time, he did not forget to bring up the Tao family and attempt to scare off Jian to prevent him from doing anything. What? The Turtle Clan's been wiped out, Jian mumbled in a daze as a clap of thunder seemed to have exploded in his head. He felt the world spin around him. Although he did not have any deep ties with the Turtle Clan, their Grand Elder had saved his life before. In order to save him, the Grand Elder had been killed, and his attachment to the clan formed a will after his death. This was more than enough to show just how important the clan was to the Grand Elder. Jian no longer had the opportunity to thank the Grand Elder for saving his life, so all he could do was help him fulfill his final wish, to develop the Turtle Clan and make them regain their former glory, letting the Grand Elder die without regrets. Yet now, not only had the Turtle Clan failed to return to their former glory under his leadership, they had suffered a disaster instead. How was it possible for Jian to not become mad? The Tao family. Jian clenched his teeth and the killing intent around him had reached a maximum. He struck his hand against the head of the middle-aged man, shattering it into pieces and killing him on the spot. The several dozen other people all stopped what they were doing and encircled him. They had come originally to see what was going on, but they immediately shivered inside when they saw Jian smash the man's head into pieces. They began to back away slowly. Jian glanced over all the people with his gaze filled with killing intent. He coldly said, "Are you all people of the Tao family? If that's the case, you can all be buried with the dead clansmen of the Turtle Clan." "Warrior, please wait." At this moment, an old voice filled with fear boomed out. An old man quickly rushed over from afar. He wore the exact same uniform as all the other people. The old man was a saint ruler, but only at the first heavenly layer. Clearly, he had only just broken through, yet he was already sweating bullets. He was horrified by the icy cold killing intent radiating from Jian. "Warrior, an intense battle occurred 3 days ago between the Turtle Clan and the Tao family, but the Turtle Clan was not wiped out. All the remaining people have retreated over 10,000 kilometers to the south. We're only responsible for cleaning up the battlefield," the old man carefully explained with his head lowered his head. He did not choose to run because he knew that it would all be useless with his strength before Jian. Jian immediately expanded his presence after what the old man had said. Indeed, he found quite a few people of the Turtle Clan 10,000 kilometers to the south. Without any hesitation, he immediately shot into the sky and flew to where the Turtle Clan had gathered. "Big fellow, let's go!" Newbies yelled to Tai Ta before following Jian. The old man sighed a breath of relief after avoiding calamity. He wiped away his cold sweat and turned to the others, "Don't bother with these corpses anymore. Another great expert has arrived for the Turtle Clan. Let's hurry back to the clan to report this." The place used to be empty, but it had now become the territory of a large clan. The clan that took up this land was the Turtle Clan. The Turtle Clan had only recently claimed this area for themselves. Many structures were newly built, and there were many houses that were still under construction. Although people flowed in and out of the clan unceasingly, very few people spoke. Every single one of them was filled with sorrow as they silently built their new homes with clenched teeth. Every single one of them possessed a hatred that they could not let go, which caused a miserable atmosphere to loom over the entire clan. Jian, Nubis, and Tai Ta arrived at the new territory of the Turtle Clan at the same time. As soon as they touched down, a person building his house noticed them. He immediately recognized Jian and became stunned before rubbing his eyes. His face then became filled with delight and disbelief. "It's the ruler. The ruler's returned. It's the ruler who has returned. Fantastic, our ruler has returned," the person who recognized Jian exclaimed. His voice was filled with excitement. "What? The ruler's returned? Is that true? Where? Where has the ruler returned? Has the ruler really returned? I see him. It really is the ruler. Fantastic, the ruler really has returned. More and more people discovered Jian Chen. They all enthusiastically added their voices to the cries as excitement flooded their faces. To all the people of the Turtle Clan, the ruler was their pillar of support. He was the hope of the Turtle Clan. Even though they had been forced into such a horrible position by the Tao family, they were still filled with confidence because of the ruler. All of them believed that the Turtle Clan would never fall apart as long as the ruler watched over them. This was because every single one of them could remember just how weak the Turtle Clan had been several years ago. The entire clan did not even have a 16th star expert, yet after the ruler had come, the entire clan had undergone an overwhelming change. In just a few years, they expanded from having no 16th star experts to having at least 5 16th star experts at all times. They had even taken back most of their former crystal mines. Although the Turtle Clan had suffered a severe blow this time, all of them believed that the reason why they had suffered this blow was because the ruler was not present. They would never have suffered defeat if the ruler had been present. Chapter 1230. The arrogant Tao family in the center of the clan. A grand hall over 20 meters tall stood silently. The entire hall was an earthen color. It had been created by a saint ruler using his abilities to control the earth, creating it from soil in a very short amount of time. Quite a powerful energy was hidden inside. At this moment, several saint ruler elders of the Turtle Clan gathered in an extremely spacious room of the hall in worry. Every single one of them had things weighing on their hearts, filling the room with a heavy atmosphere. What do you think the clan should do now? Do we give up all the crystal mines that used to belong to us, or do we continue to develop here and face against the constant threat of the Tao family moving against us? The fourth elder sternly inquired. No, we definitely can't relinquish the crystal mines that used to belong to us. All these mines are a huge resource for the clan. It's the only thing that can support our vigorous growth. If we give them up now, it'll be even more difficult to get them back in the future. Since a hall elder of the Sea Goddess Hall stepped forward to stop our battle with the Tao family, I believe the Tao family won't attack us so easily in the future. The sixth elder disagreed right after the fourth elder finished speaking. Are you relying on the hall elders to always stand by our side, sixth elder? The ancestor of the Tao family, Tao Jingtian, will reach the peak of the 16th star soon. He will become a hall elder sooner or later. Once he takes that position, he can move against our clan without the slightest worry. That day will become the true end of our clan, the fifth elder coldly snorted. He disagreed with the sixth elder very much. The fourth elder gently sighed because of what the fifth elder had said. He added, it's a pity that the ruler's not present. If he was, then all would be fine. Only he can determine the rise or decline of our clan. The ancestor of the Tao family is just far too powerful, and he's even joined with the Moshi clan through marriage, which makes him even more influential in the Sea realm. Coupled with the fact that he's formed an alliance with over 10 large clans, the number of 15th and 16th star experts they've gathered is not something our clan can deal with. We probably still won't have the power to contend with the Tao family even if the ruler returns, the seventh elder added in a heavy voice. The fourth elder's expression changed, and he sternly looked at the seventh elder. He berated, seventh elder, how can you talk about the ruler like that? As an elder of the Turtle Clan, you can lose confidence in yourself, but you should never lose confidence in the ruler because he is the greatness of the Turtle Clan, the person who holds all the hope of the Turtle Clan. We are only truly powerful when we have him watching over us. We need to stand firm. Once the ruler returns, we'll be able to recover from this situation. The seventh elder immediately fell silent. He lowered his head. The ruler of the Turtle Clan never stayed in the clan for very long, but he had established a great impression among the elders. Our report, at this moment, a guard called out from afar as he rushed over in a hurry. Seeing how impatient the guard was, the elders immediately stopped their discussion. One of them stared at the guard and heavily asked, what's happened? Has the experts of the Tao family come? No, elders, the ruler has returned. The ruler has returned, the guard huffed. He was extremely excited. What? The ruler's returned? The elders present beamed with delight. One of them chuckled aloud and said with a clear voice, "Everyone, let's go welcome the ruler." "No need, I'm already here," Jian Chen's deep voice rang through the hall right after the elder spoke. Before Jian Chen had finished speaking, he had already appeared before everyone with newbies and Tai Ta along with a great group of clansmen. The clansmen stopped outside the hall while joy and excitement from the bottom of their hearts was plastered across their faces. "We greet the ruler." The elders of the Turtle clan immediately bowed to Jian Chen. They were all emotional where even their voices trembled slightly. Jian Chen walked up to the throne and sat down while the elders stood in a row below in a courteous manner. Newbies and Tai Ta were much more relaxed in comparison. They knew that Jian Chen had important matters to deal with, so they did not disturb him. Instead, they began to stroll around the place by themselves. "Tell me exactly what has happened. Why has the Tao family attacked the Turtle clan without any reason?" Jian Chen coldly asked with a sunken expression. The fourth elder immediately stepped forward. He politely explained the situation to Jian Chen. "Ruler, I believe you know that the Turtle clan has been working on taking back the crystals mines that had been taken from us after our strength had increased. Originally, we had taken back most of them with only a few better, larger mines still in the possession of a few large clans. They persisted in not returning them, so in order to resist the Turtle clan, they've even formed an alliance with the Tao family. The remaining mines are just far too important to us, and they belonged to us originally, so we never gave up on them. Hence, many conflicts occurred between the experts of the Turtle clan and the alliance, causing both sides to suffer casualties. However, since we had 5 16th star experts guarding us, we were in no way weaker than the alliance, so we were locked in a stalemate. But this balance in power was disrupted a month ago. The Tao family has joined with another peak-level organization of the Sea Goddess Hall, the Moshi clan, through marriage. They have 2 great experts, one at the 16th star and another at the 15th star. The 16th star ancestor of the Moshi clan is almost as powerful as Tao Jingtian. The alliance completely exceeds us in strength with the participation of the Moshi clan. Soon afterward, the Tao family sent an envoy to our clan and brazenly declared that we had seized many crystal mines without any fear and had broken the peace within the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall because we had the support of a few 16th star experts. He also demanded us to hand over all our crystal mines as well as pay for the losses they had recently suffered, or the Tao family would unite all the clans and organizations we had abused to come teach us a lesson. Reaching there, the fourth elder's voice had already become filled with an anger that he struggled to suppress. His eyes were about to burst into flames. Even the other elders in the hall were extremely furious as well, and their faces had paled. Jian Chen's face sank even more as he sat on the throne. Heavy killing intent had already appeared in his eyes. He had been angered by the actions of the Tao family. Ignoring the fact that the crystal mines all used to belong to the Turtle clan, just the demand from the Tao family that stated that the clan had to hand over all their crystal mines had already crossed the line for Jian Chen, not to mention that they had even demanded the Turtle clan to make up for the losses that they had suffered in recent years. The Tao family could no longer be described as arrogant and rampant. They had gone overboard, far overboard. The fourth elder recovered and continued, "How could we agree to such an overboard demand right off the bat? As a result, the alliance began to launch a large-scale attack on our clan 3 days ago, but we could do nothing since the alliance's strength completely exceeded our own. Even with Qin Do, Qing Yishuan, Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mokas, all experts of the 16th star, we were still unable to stop the attack from the Tao family. The battle lasted for just half a day, and all the 5 of our 16th star experts became heavily injured by the people of the alliance. In the end, the battle only reached a conclusion because a hall elder had made it in time. Indeed. The Tao family wanted to use the power of the alliance to wipe us out 3 days ago. If the hall elder had not forcefully interfered and protected us, we probably would have been wiped out by the Tao family already. Ruler, we need to take revenge for this, said the 5th elder righteously. Ruler, our clan sustained extremely heavy injuries in the battle. Half of the clansmen have passed away, over 30,000, and we've lost 4 elders. We can't just do nothing over this debt of blood. Ruler, please lead us. Ruler, you must let us pay back the debt of blood. Every single elder within the hall resentfully spoke through clenched teeth. All of their eyes burned with the roaring flames of revenge. How many 15th and 16th star experts are there among the alliance? Jian Chen coldly asked. He would obviously take revenge for the Turtle Clan, but he needed to have a proper understanding of the Tao family's strength first. Jian Chen could already completely ignore Saint Rulers. He cared more about how many Saint Kings the Tao family had. The elders all hesitated slightly. Then the 4th elder replied, Ruler, the Tao family currently has 4 15th star experts and at least 2 16th star experts. They would be the 2 ancestors of the Tao family and the Moshi clan. No, there was another expert who matched up against Tai Do in a stalemate other than the Tao family ancestor and the Moshi clan ancestor. There should be at least one other 16th star expert. I don't think all of you saw it, but when the battle erupted, there was another person in the alliance who watched on. I could not discern their strength. He did not take part in the battle. I am guessing that he's a 16th star expert as well, added another elder. Jian Chen frowned. He discovered that it was indeed rather difficult for the Saint Ruler elders to discuss the level of Saint Kings. Stop rambling. Bring me Qing Yishuan, Tai Do, Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mochas. I know they're healing, so summon them immediately, ordered Jian Chen. Yes, Ruler, an elder followed his orders and immediately rushed out of the hall as quickly as possible. Chapter 1231, Envoy of the Tao family. Jian Chen did not wait for very long before Qing Yishuan, Tai Do, Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mochas entered the hall. Their faces were pale white, without a shred of blood, and they were extremely heavily injured. To think you would still know to return. You sure are having it easy as the ruler of the Turtle Clan. Leaving behind the 5 of us and then vanishing. Back when I told you to deal with the Tao family, you insisted on saying no. Now look at it. The Tao family and the Moshi clan have joined in marriage, and they're already prevailing. They're not something that the current Turtle Clan can deal with. What do you think we should do? Qing Yishuan could not help but criticize Jian Chen as soon as she saw him. Although she had already agreed to temporarily watch over the Turtle Clan, it was just an agreement in the end. Qing Yishuan was still biased against Jian Chen. She still remembered the moment when Jian Chen had taken the Octaterra map fragment from her while she was heavily injured. She could not forget it no matter how she tried. Unfortunately, Jian Chen was no longer the insignificant saint ruler from before, so even if she hated him, she was not his opponent. I didn't move against the Tao family back then because I was not confident we could completely suppress them, which was why I let them be. It's just that I never thought that the Tao family would strengthen so quickly and declare war against my Turtle Clan themselves, Jian Chen coldly replied. What he really feared about the Tao family was their ancestor, Tao Jingtian. It was said that he was quite close to becoming a hall elder, and all hall elders were Saint Kings at great perfection. Then do you have the power to deal with the Tao family right now? Qing Yishuan stared at Jian Chen. Among everyone present, he was the only person she did not show any respect to. She had always felt like he owed her. Tell me in detail just how many Saint Kings the Tao family have first and what level of strength they possess as well as Tao Jingtian's exact strength, Jian Chen said. The alliance of the Tao family has a total of 9 Saint Kings so far. There are 4 beneath the 5th heavenly layer and 5 that are either at the 5th heavenly layer or above. 1 is of the 5th heavenly layer, 2 are of the 6th heavenly layer, another is of the 7th heavenly layer, and the last one is of the 8th heavenly layer. The ancestor of the Moshi clan is of the 7th heavenly layer while Tao Jingtian is the strongest, having reached the peak of the 8th heavenly layer. He is also only a single step away from reaching the 9th, and I heard that Tao Jingtian is in possession of a divine hall as well, Qing Yishuan coldly replied. Jian Chen frowned. Adding Nubis, Tai Ta, and him, they only had 8 Saint Kings. Tai Do was of the 5th heavenly layer while Qing Yishuan, Lan Jing, Xian and Mocha's were all of the 6th heavenly layer. Nubi's was the weakest, at the 4th heavenly layer, but if he used the Saint-Tier battle skill he had modified, he could temporarily match up against experts of the 7th heavenly layer. As for he himself and Tai Ta, both of them could face up against experts of the 7th heavenly layer without suffering defeat. Together, they were in no way weaker than the Tao family alliance. They may even be stronger. However, what pained Jian Shen was that Tao Jingtian was in possession of a divine hull. His side seemed very strong, but it was still not enough to destroy a divine hull. Qin Yishuan thought that Jian Shen was not confident that they could defeat the Tao family when she saw him frown. She could not help but sigh inside. The influence of the Tao family was like the midday sun right now, and without much time, Tao Jingtian would become a hall elder as well. At that time, dealing with them would become even more difficult, and she had no idea if she would still have the chance of obtaining what she wanted. If she did not obtain the item, she would not be brave enough to return to the Tianyun continent. God damn it. I had the Octaterra map fragment before, and I could have used it to exchange with the Tao family for what I wanted. It's all because the map fragment was stolen away by Jian Shen. Qin Yishuan gritted her teeth in hatred when she thought up to that point. At this moment, a guard quickly rushed inside. He said in a rather flustered manner, "Ruler, the Tao family has sent an envoy. He's currently waiting outside." An envoy of the Tao family. Jian Shen became stunned, probably due to the fact that he did not expect an envoy to come at such a crucial moment. However, he quickly snapped back to his senses and said, "Lead the way for him." "There's no need to lead the way. I'll come in myself." An arrogant voice rang out from outside as soon as Jian Shen had finished speaking. He was a skinny old man who strode over with his chest high, as if he was above everyone present. The old man was a saint ruler, and behind him followed 2 heaven saint masters. The elders of the Turtle clan immediately became furious when they saw the envoy. Their hatred for the Tao family had already reached a bone-deep level. As soon as the envoy stepped into the hall, he quickly glanced around. When he discovered the 16th star expert standing below and Jian Shen sitting above, his heart immediately sank. He could already sense an ill omen, but he immediately became fearless when he thought of the Tao family's current strength. The envoy knew that he had come this time as a representative of the powerful Tao family, so even if there were many 16th star experts present, he still remained composed and unhurried. He observed Jian Shen, who sat on the throne without any fear, and freely smiled. "May I ask who you are, and why I've never seen you before?" The envoy's attitude was flippant, as if he did not care about Jian Shen's identity at all. "How dare you kneel before our ruler?" an elder of the Turtle clan berated the envoy. The envoy came to an understanding and became surprised. He clasped his hands. "Oh, so you're the legendary ruler of the Turtle clan. Please forgive me rudeness, I have truly been rude. Since you know he's our ruler, why don't you hurry up and kneel? It's your honor to be able to see our ruler at the 13th star, another elder demanded. The envoy began to laugh aloud. "You sure are worthy of being the ruler of a clan, demanding respect at times like this. However, I've only ever kneeled to ancestor Tao Jingtian. Even the current patriarch of the Tao family has no right to make me kneel, so I do wonder if the ruler of the Turtle clan deserves such a thing. How dare you, such boldness! You must be tired of living for speaking like this to the ruler." Every single elder became utterly furious. Jian Shen deeply frowned as well. The Tao family was just too arrogant. Even a mere saint ruler envoy was acting in such a cocky fashion before so many saint kings. "Tai Do, toss out the 3 of them," Jian Shen coldly commanded. No matter what intentions they had come with, he did not plan on talking to them with how arrogantly they acted. The envoy's expression immediately changed when he heard that Jian Shen was about to throw them out of the clan. He yelled, "Don't you dare! I'm representing the Tao family." Once he reached that point, he was thrown out of the clan along with his 2 followers by Tai Do. Although Tao Do was heavily injured, he was still a 5th heavenly layer saint king. The envoy could not resist the frozen space. Plop! 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 100 meters away, 3 muffled sounds could be heard. The envoy and his followers heavily hit the ground. Although they were not injured, they were reduced to a mess. The 2 followers silently climbed up and did not dare to say anything. However, the envoy was furious. When he had been thrown out by Tai Do, he had been locked up by spatial force and was unable to control his body, making him come so close to the ground. How could he endure something like that as a mighty saint ruler? At the same time, he had already subconsciously determined the Turtle Clan had been defeated and that they should have treated him with plenty of respect and politeness. Yet, the situation was the exact opposite. The envoy ignored the gleeful gazes of the clansmen from his suffering as he furiously charged back into the hall. He roared out, "How dare you? How dare you treat an envoy of the Tao family like this? You will regret your actions." A gleam of light flashed through Jian Chen's eyes, and he said with a heavy voice, "Tai Do, throw him out. If he charges in again, kill him immediately." "Yes, sir," responded Tai Do as he arrived before the envoy. He extended his hand, about to throw him out. "Wait." The envoy had already been trapped by Tai Do. Seeing how he was about to be tossed out yet again, he quickly shouted to make him stop. He said through gritted teeth, "I've come under the Patriarch's orders to deliver a message. After the message is delivered, I will leave immediately." With that, the envoy felt like he was out of trouble, so he added something else. "If it weren't for the Patriarch's orders, I wouldn't be willing to come even if this mere Turtle Clan had invited me." "Humph. Speak. What did the Patriarch want you to say?" Jian Chen emotionlessly ordered. The envoy calmed down and unhappily stared at Jian Chen. He said, "The Turtle Clan has attempted to take the grand quality crystal mines in possession of the Tao family time and time again, which has resulted in great losses for us. In the battle 3 days ago, a large number of experts and elites fell, so the Turtle Clan had already caused an extremely great loss to the Tao family. As a result, the Turtle Clan has 15 days to pay up 1 billion grand quality crystal coins as compensation, or the clan will take corresponding measures against the Turtle Clan." The elders of the Turtle Clan began to tremble in rage after they heard what the envoy had to say. The Tao family was going more and more overboard. Even if they used everything they had, they probably would not be able to gather 100 million, let alone 1 billion crystal coins. Although they had been in possession of some crystal mines for some time, it was just far too little time to make a grand sum. "I have delivered the Patriarch's message. Farewell." The envoy turned around in an attempt to leave. "Wait." Jian Chen stopped the envoy from leaving. He turned around to look at Jian Chen as he coldly asked, "What is it, ruler?" A gleam of heavy killing intent flashed through Jian Chen's eyes. He coldly answered, "Envoy, you would have been able to leave safely before you had said that, but now you can't." The envoy's expression changed. He growled, "What are you trying to do?" Chapter 1232, Mobilization. Jian Chen ignored the envoy. He looked at Tai Do and said, "Bring me his head." Tai Do became stunned by that command, as if he had never thought that Jian Chen wanted to kill the envoy right there. However, he snapped back to his senses very quickly, moving against the envoy without saying anything more. "How dare you? Are you trying to make trouble? I am the representative of the Tao family." The envoy's expression really changed as he hurriedly cried out. He had never thought that Jian Chen would actually want to kill him. After all, he had come this time as a representative of the Tao family. If the Turtle Clan really did kill him, the flames of rage from the Tao family would burn them to a crisp. He did not believe the Turtle Clan was the Tao family's opponent, even if their legendary ruler had returned. Tai Do ignored the cries of the envoy. He extended his hand and twisted the envoy's head, forcefully wrenching it from his neck. With the envoy's strength as a saint ruler, he was completely immobilized by Tai Do's abilities as a saint king. All he could do was watch helplessly as his head parted from his body. The envoy had not died. As a saint ruler, severing the head from the body was not enough to claim his life. As long as his soul was still present, he could still survive even if his head had been reduced to pieces. At that moment, the envoy stared at Jian Chen wide-eyed, in shock and anger. Even now, he refused to believe that the Turtle Clan was bold enough to treat him like that they were completely unafraid of the Tao family behind him. Jian Shen flicked a finger from the throne and a sharp sword chi shot from the tip of his finger. It disappeared between the envoy's eyebrows. The eyes of the envoy quickly lost their luster and became glassy. Jian Chen's sword chi had wiped out his soul. Jian Shen waved his arm and a gust of wind blew away the envoy's head, directing it into the hands of a follower that had come with him. Jian Shen coldly said, "Go tell Tao Jingtian that he must return all the mines of the Turtle Clan within a day and that he must pay 10 billion crystal coins in compensation for the casualties the Turtle Clan suffered in the battle several days ago. If he fails to do those two things in the given time, my Turtle Clan will begin a devastating attack on the Tao family and all those in the alliance. We will not let the matter rest until we are dead." The two followers had become as pale as paper as fear overwhelmed their souls. They could not help but tremble. They quickly nodded after hearing what Jian Shen had to say before rushing out the Turtle Clan with the envoy's head in bewilderment. All the elders of the Turtle Clan were delighted when they saw the outcome of the envoy. Some of the elders had even become extremely excited and emotional from what Jian Shen had said to the two followers at the end. Their Turtle Clan finally had no need to endure the oppression of the Tao family. At the same time, they understood just how important the ruler was to the Turtle Clan. They had suffered devastating attacks from the Tao family when the ruler had not been present before. If a hall elder had not interfered, they probably would no longer exist. Now that the ruler had returned, the clan had toughened again. They no longer feared the Tao family. "Jian Shen, have you really made up your mind to move against the Tao family? Are you confident you can deal with them?" Qin Yishuan sternly asked, but she too felt some anticipation inside. Jian Shen nodded. "If the Tao family really is only as powerful as you've described, they are indeed not enough to threaten us." The situation this time was different from the last. Nubbies had already emerged from seclusion and coupled with Tai Ta, who was no weaker than himself, the Tao family really did not pose much of a threat to them. "But the 5 of us are all heavily injured. We can't recover in a short amount of time," Qin Yishuan said with some worry. Although she had no idea where Jian Shen's confidence originated from, she also knew that Jian Shen was not a reckless person. A mysterious smile appeared on Jian Shen's face. "I obviously know that the 5 of you are heavily injured. You don't need to worry about this problem. I can heal all of you up very quickly." With that, a golden streak of light flashed from between Jian Shen's eyebrows as the saint artifact flew out from his sea of consciousness. "Don't resist," Jian Shen advised before sucking them into the artifact space. He planned on getting the artifact spirit to heal them. Although Jian Shen was also a Class 7 Radiant Saint Master, only water-attributed energy was abundant in the sea realm. Radiant Saint force was extremely thin. If he used his own powers to heal the 5 of them, it would be nowhere near as effective as on the Tianyun continent. The origin energy of Radiant Saint force was a consumable energy to him. It was even more difficult to recover than chaotic force, so in order to save on origin energy, he could only let the artifact spirit handle healing them. To reach Class 8 as a Radiant Saint Master, all that was needed was accumulation. Once a Radiant Saint Master possessed a certain level of origin energy, their souls would improve qualitatively and, hence, reach the 8th class. Jian Shen did not possess a lot of Radiant Saint Force origin energy. He had absorbed as much as he could when the seal within the artifact space had broken open. This origin energy was his hope to reach Class 8, so he would not waste even a small amount of it unless he had no other choice. The artifact spirit had reached Class 8 as a Radiant Saint Master, so under his healing, the 5 of them used less than an hour to make a full recovery from their extremely heavy injuries, which delighted them very much. Afterward, Jian Shen gave the 5 of them another half a day to recover their expended saint force. Afterward, he led Qin Yishuan, Tai Do, Xin Pian, Mokas, Nubis, and Tai Ta toward the Tao family in an aggressive manner. A few elders of the clan followed along as well. Jian Shen did not count on the Tao family agreeing to his limit of a single day because he knew that it was impossible. At the same time, several hundreds of thousand kilometers away, a middle-aged man paced around in a well-adorned room within a medium-sized tribe named the Kaler tribe. His brows were tightly furrowed, as if something weighed on his heart. He was the current patriarch of the Kaler tribe as well as Kaya's father. Jia Soa, has the young lady still not emerged from seclusion? Suddenly, the patriarch asked someone outside. Patriarch, the young lady is still in seclusion and has still not come out, replied the guard outside. The patriarch furrowed his brows even more tightly as he felt a vague unease inside. He understood his daughter extremely well. Even though she had shown great talent since she was young, she was not very enthusiastic about cultivating, or she probably would have become a 14th-star expert already with her talent. Yet now, she seemed to have undergone an unbelievable change after being taken away by the ruler of the Turtle Clan. She entered a long period of seclusion as soon as she had returned, despite never entering seclusion in the past. She had not emerged even now, which filled him with great worry as a father. He was extremely curious at the same time. He had no idea just what had happened after the ruler of the Turtle Clan had taken away his daughter. Why had his daughter become so enthusiastic about cultivating? Had she been abused? As the patriarch deeply pondered these mysteries, a guard's shocked cry rang out, "Ah! Young miss, why, you've emerged." Before the guard could finish his sentence, the door to the room was pushed open. Kaya walked in with her sky-blue clothes. Her entire presence was slightly different compared to before she had entered seclusion. The patriarch became stunned when Kaya suddenly appeared before him. However, he beamed with joy soon after. "Kaya, you've finally emerged. Fantastic. Do you know how worried I've become since you suddenly went into seclusion?" Kaya smiled and gently replied, "Sorry father, I've made your worry." The patriarch could sense that Kaya did not behave abnormally at all, which relieved him. He freely smiled, "It's fine, it's fine. As long as you are well." The patriarch saw how Kaya was hesitating, so he followed up with a caring question, "Kaya, is there something weighing on your mind? If there's anything I can help you with, just tell me. I'll do everything I can." "Oh right, Kaya. Why did the ruler of the Turtle Clan look for you last time? And why did you enter seclusion as soon as you had returned, only emerging now?" Kaya hesitated before saying, "Father, I've actually emerged from seclusion this time to ask you for some crystal coins." "It's just some crystal coins. How much do you need?" The patriarch smiled. "The more the better, because I need a great pile of crystal coins when I enter seclusion," Kaya said with a slight blush. She knew that the amount of crystal coins she needed was so vast that the Kaler tribe probably would not be able to provide them all. However, with her meager strength, she had no other choice than to seek the tribe for help if she wanted to power up quickly. The patriarch's smile gradually disappeared. He seriously examined his daughter right before him. At that moment, he was doubting whether the person before him was the girl he was familiar with, since his daughter had never worked so hard at cultivating before. Chapter 1233, Battle Between Two Clans. 1. Kaya, you have to tell me the truth. Just what did the ruler of the Turtle Clan do to you when he took you away? Why do you seem completely different than before? You're working so hard on your cultivation. Has the ruler of the Turtle Clan abused you? The patriarch of the Kaler tribe asked with a heavy tone. Kaya knew that her recent change had led to her father misunderstanding things. Her father had even thought too much about it and twisted what had happened. She could not help but break into laughter. "Father, stop thinking about all these random things. Actually, the ruler of the Turtle Clan came to give me an extremely impressive cultivation method when he came looking for me. I could not help but start working hard on cultivation after being moved emotionally, which is why I immediately went into seclusion right after I had returned." "An extremely impressive cultivation method? What is it?" "It's even greater than the innate spirit opening technique of the 8 divine arts." The patriarch stared at Kaya in shock. Kaya hesitated slightly before saying, "The ruler gave me the cultivation method of the Octaterra Emperor as well as his experiences and knowledge regarding cultivation." "Father, do you think it's greater than the innate spirit opening technique?" "What?" "The cultivation method of the Octaterra Emperor." The patriarch was greatly shocked as disbelief flooded his face. His expression then suddenly changed. and he immediately erected a barrier to isolate the room with wave of his hand. Afterward, he excitedly looked at his daughter and said with a trembling voice, "My dear daughter, did the ruler of the Turtle Clan really give you the cultivation method of the Octoterra Emperor as well as his cultivation knowledge and experiences?" "Yes." "How can I trick you, father? If you don't believe me, do you want me to take it out for you to have a look?" Kaya seriously asked. The patriarch immediately waved his hands. "No, no, no. I believe you, but you have to be careful. You can't let anyone else know that you possess the cultivation method of the Octoterra Emperor, okay?" The patriarch was extremely stern. "Yes, father, I understand," Kaya solemnly replied. She clearly understood just how important the matter was. Afterward, the patriarch passed a space ring to Kaya. He said, "There's 5 million grand quality crystal coins in there. That's all the crystal coins I have on me, so take it and use it first. I'll call a gathering with the elders later on and persuade them. Then I'll pour a portion of the tribe's resources into you. Just don't worry. I'll do everything I can to help you obtain cultivation resources. Then I'll take my leave first. I'll work extra hard to see if I can become a 15th star expert as soon as possible." Kaya left with the space ring. She did not waste a single moment, entering seclusion once more. After Kaya had left, the patriarch remained in the well-adorned room. He was unable to calm down from his excited state for quite some time. He had never dreamed that his daughter would experience such great fortune, to have actually obtained the cultivation method of an emperor. He also believed that with her talent, it was extremely possible for her to become an expert on par to emperors in the future with the cultivation method and knowledge from the Octoterra Emperor. As a father, he felt extremely prideful when he thought about how his own daughter would accomplish something so great in the future, even if it had not happened yet. Odd. The cultivation method of the Octoterra Emperor is invaluable, so why did the ruler of the Turtle Clan give it to Kaya for no reason? The patriarch thought of a very crucial question after calming down, which confused him very much. However, he did not think too much about it. He removed the barrier and walked out. At the entrance, 2 guards of the tribe stood there with straight backs as they stared ahead. The patriarch glanced past the 2 of them. He coughed and said, "Did the 2 of you hear anything?" As he asked the question, he seemed to be unconcerned, but he devoted all his attention to the 2 guards. Confusion filled the gazes of the guards, and they replied, "Patriarch, we didn't hear anything." The patriarch nodded slightly before gradually walking away without saying anything else. His mind then became filled with methods to direct a portion of the tribe's resources to Kaya without causing any doubt among the elders. At this moment, over 10 people of various ages gathered in a grand hall within the Tao family. They varied in strength, ranging from saint rulers to saint kings. They all gathered around a large round table that was filled with various delicacies. "I never thought that a hall elder would appear and ruin our campaign to wipe out the domineering Turtle Clan. What a pity, what a pity. We missed such a good opportunity just like that," said a middle-aged man regretfully. He radiated with a vague but vast presence. He was a saint king and was a part of the various clans that had allied themselves with the Tao family. His name was Tai Tony. "Brother Tai Tony, there's no need to be regretful. The Turtle Clan can be lucky the first time, but it definitely won't happen a second time. The patriarch of the Tao family has already sent an envoy to the Turtle Clan. If they don't hand over 1 billion crystal coins in half a month, it will be perfectly justifiable for us to wipe them out. As long as we are reasonable, even hall elders can't forcefully order us to stop," said the ancestor of the Cayenne clan. He was also a saint king, having reached the 6th heavenly layer. He was a 16th star expert. Tai Tony clasped his hands at the ancestor of the Cayenne clan and said, "That's reasonable, Brother D-Sen, but I worry that the Turtle Clan will take advantage of this time and flee, moving the entire clan out of the Sea Goddess Hall's territory. And if they really do pull out 1 billion crystal coins in half a month, what do we do with them?" A blue-robed, middle-aged man with quite a striking appearance stood up and clasped his hands. "Senior Tai Tony, you are worrying too much. Firstly, the Turtle Clan will not be able to retreat. Before they've compensated us with the 1 billion crystal coins, it is perfectly reasonable for us to stop them if they try to escape from the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall. At the same time, I've already sent people to conduct a detailed investigation of the Turtle Clan. Even if they use everything the clan has, they won't even be able to pay up 100 million crystal coins, let alone the billion that we've demanded. He was the current patriarch of the Tao family, Tianyun. He was a saint ruler of the 9th heavenly layer, and it was rumored that he would definitely break through in 50 years and reach a greater level of cultivation. We won't worry since the patriarch has put it like that. Several months ago, my most beloved and most favored grandson died to the experts of the Turtle Clan. I need to repay this debt with all the blood of the Turtle Clan, said a bald old man coldly. Heavy killing intent lingered in his eyes. Don't worry, brother Ingamo. You will have your revenge for your grandson. Half a month later will be the day the Turtle Clan ends, said a ruddy, sage-like old man. He was the ancestor of the Tao family, Tao Jingtian. At this moment, an old man who seemed to be the caretaker rushed in. His complexion was very horrible, and he hoarsely cried out, "Ancestor, the envoy to the Turtle Clan has returned. Let them in and report the exact details of the situation," Tao Jingtian coldly ordered. Yes, sir. The person backed out under Tao Jingtian's orders. Very soon, the two Heaven Saint Masters that had visited the Turtle Clan walked in with a bloodied head. They then kneeled on the ground with lowered heads. Including Tao Jingtian, all the people in THR room revealed a different expression and became furious when they saw the bloodied head. Heavy killing intent flickered in their eyes. Bang! Tao Jingtian slammed the table as his face darkened to the point that it had become terrifying. He furiously roared, "How dare they! The Turtle Clan sure is bold to kill the envoy that we the Tao family have sent. Humph. The Turtle Clan already faces their demise, yet they still don't know how to repent for their mistakes, fearlessly killing the envoy of the Tao family. They are not treating the Tao family with any importance at all. This is a naked provocation of the Tao family, as well as a way to demonstrate their might to all of us." All the experts from the large clans said in a righteous manner in their fury. "Explain exactly what happened during the visit, the two of you. Do not miss any details at all," Tao Jingtian indifferently commanded the two followers. The two followers did not dare to miss anything. They immediately explained what had happened in the Turtle Clan, exactly how it occurred. "Humph, I never thought that the mere ruler of the Turtle Clan would be so arrogant. Does he think of himself as a hall elder?" Tao Jingtian immediately and coldly sneered when he heard the story from the two followers. "Ancestor, the ruler of the Turtle Clan has also told us to bring back a message," one of the followers said with hesitation. "Speak. What has the ruler gotten you to bring back?" Tao Jingtian coldly asked. "The ruler said that we must return all the mines of the Turtle Clan within a day and that we must pay 10 billion crystal coins in compensation for the casualties the Turtle Clan has suffered in the battle several days ago. If we fail to do those two things in the given time, the Turtle Clan will begin a devastating attack on the Tao family and all those in the alliance. They will not let the matter rest until they are dead," the follower said as he trembled. The hall immediately fell into an abnormal silence with that. All of the people had been stunned by that, unable to return to their senses for quite some time. "Ha ha ha, I haven't heard wrong, have I? The ruler of the Turtle Clan wants us to pay 10 billion crystal coins as compensation, or he will launch a devastating attack against us. Has the ruler gone mad from anger? The Turtle Clan isn't even going to weigh their own strength first, and they want to launch a devastating attack against us? Pfft. I think the ruler of the Turtle Clan's gotten ahead of himself." All the experts in the hall sneered. None of them believed that the Turtle Clan possessed the power to do what they had declared. Tao Jingtian began to laugh from his anger. At that moment, his gaze became extremely sharp as heavy killing intent wildly flickered in his eyes. He sneered, "Good. Very well. Very well. The Turtle Clan is so arrogant. I'd like to see just how the little Turtle Clan will launch a devastating attack against us. Everyone, I originally planned to give the Turtle Clan half a month, but it looks like we no longer need to wait that long. We can move against them tomorrow. Everyone, let's head over to the Turtle Clan right now and see just what they possess that's allowing them to be so arrogant. There's no need to go. We've already come. A deafening voice echoed from the sky as soon as Tao Jingtian finished speaking. The voice was so loud that it continued to echo in the surroundings, lingering for quite some time before disappearing. Chapter 1234, Battle Between Two Clans, 2, Above the Tao Family, Jianchen, Tai Ta, Nubis, Qingyuan, Tai Do, Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mokas hovered 100 meters in the air in an arrogant manner. Every single one of them was calm and cool as vast presences radiated from the 8 of them, blanketing the entire Tao family. The air seemed to have become heavy under their presences. The weaker members of the Tao family all paled while a small portion of them even began to bleed from the corner of their mouths. Their organs had already become heavily injured, having ruptured from the supreme presences. Even the saint rulers within the Tao family revealed rather unnatural expressions. Powerful energy revolved around them as they used everything they had to resist the unending pressure. Humph. A cold snort rang from the central hall within the Tao family. At that moment, 9 Saint King presences surged out without showing any indication of giving in, ramming viciously against the 8 of them in the air like a wild tiger. Bang! A deep sound actually rang through the air with the collision of the invisible presences. The surrounding energy was affected as well. Becoming violent in that moment, it swept out like a storm, kicking sand and dust into the air. No one gained any upper hand from the clash between presences. Tao Jingtian flew up from below with a sunken expression as the 8 Saint Kings from the Alliance followed behind him. Every single one of them possessed rather ugly expressions. You're the ruler of the Turtle Clan? Tao Jingtian coldly asked as he stared at Jian Chen before quickly examining the 7 other people around him. He immediately became shocked. He had never thought that the Turtle Clan would actually possess 8 Saint Kings. The number was only 1 less than his alliance, but what surprised him even more was that the injured 5 had made full recoveries already. Tao Jingtian understood Qingyuan, Tai Do, Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mocha's injuries extremely well. 3 days ago, he had determined that they would not have been able to recover without several years of time and that they would end up suffering from irremediable after effects in the future. Even if they were in possession of great medicine, they would still need quite some time. It had only been 3 short days, yet the 5 of them had made full recoveries. At the same time, they did not seem to be suffering from any after effects, which completely overturned Tao Jingtian's understanding of things. Correct. I am the ruler of the Turtle Clan. Tao Jingtian, I'll be collecting my debt from 3 days ago with interest, Jian Chen sneered. A sliver of disdain appeared in Tao Jingtian's eyes. He sneered as well, ruler of the Turtle Clan, your clan actually has 8 15th and 16th star experts. This has indeed exceeded what I expected, but if you think that you can deal with my Tao family with just the 8 of you, then you are mistaken. Jian Chen's gaze gradually sharpened to the point where it was like a sword. Heavy killing intent was present inside as well. He sneered, really? I'd like to see who made the great mistake. With that, the Emperor armament appeared in his hand. At that moment, Jian Chen's presence underwent a sudden change. If he seemed like an ordinary mortal before, he was now like a sword surging with aura. Kill! Suddenly, Jian Chen roared out. He immediately charged toward Tao Jingtian in an aggressive manner with his Emperor armament. At the same time, Nubis, Tai Ta, Qingyuan, Tai Do, Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mokas moved as well. At the peak of the 6th heavenly layer, Mokas faced up against the ancestor of the Moshi clan who was at the 7th heavenly layer while Lan Jing and Xian Pian faced against 2 other Saint Kings who were at similar levels as them, both at the 6th heavenly layer. Qingyuan's opponent was a 5th heavenly layer Saint King while Nubis and Tai Do faced 2 4th heavenly layer Saint Kings. As for Tai Ta, he was dealing with 2 Saint Kings all by himself. However, they were the weakest Saint Kings within the alliance, one at the 2nd heavenly layer and the other at the 3rd. Jian Chen had decided this after discussing their options on the way here. Including Jian Chen, all of them were to keep their opponent busy, and then Tai Ta, who was most powerful among them, would handle the killing by starting with the weakest. 17 Saint Kings erupted in an intense battle above the Tao family. They fought with destructive attacks, where terrifying ripples of residual energy transformed into terrifying storms that wreaked havoc in the surroundings. Even 9th heavenly layer saint rulers dared not to approach them. Jian Shen and Tao Jingtian's battle was the most intense. Tao Jingtian knew that Jian Shen was not as powerful as him, so he used everything he had right from the start in an attempt to finish off Jian Shen as soon as possible. Then he would go assist the other people against the experts of the Turtle Clan. At his limit, Jian Shen's battle prowess could reach the peak of the 7th heavenly layer. He currently faced against a Saint King at the peak of the 8th heavenly layer, so he used his full power without holding back at all. He abused the advantages of the chaotic body as he constantly stabbed out with his emperor armament that bore strands of destructive chaotic force, attempting to harm Tao Jingtian with every attack. His every attack was extremely quick, where every single strike outpaced the previous. It formed a net of swords that seemed to be watertight right in front of him. However, Tao Jingtian was at the peak of the 8th heavenly layer after all. He was well versed in battle as well. His experience was in no way less than Jian Chen's. Faced against Jian Chen's torrential attack, he was still able to deal with it in a composed fashion. He even used his abilities as a Saint King to limit Jian Chen's movements from time to time. Although Jian Chen would shatter the space before it had completely frozen, it still caused some problems for him, gradually forcing him into a disadvantage. Although Jian Chen was not as powerful as Tao Jingtian, their disparity was just a single heavenly layer. At the same time, Jian Chen had experienced countless battles of different sizes throughout his life. His experience in combat was extremely rich, so it was extremely difficult for Tao Zhengtane to finish Jian Chen off in such a short amount of time. Mokas had also fallen to a disadvantage with Jian Chen. His opponent was a 7th heavenly layer Saint King, the ancestor of the Mashi clan. He had already been forced to retreat by his opponent. He was not as composed as Jian Chen was. Below, a huge barrier of energy had been erected over the territory of the Tao family. It protected all the weaker members of the Tao family, preventing them from suffering from the ripples of battle. Even though the barrier was extremely tough, it was still rather difficult to block the ripples from a battle of 17 Saint Kings. The transparent barrier had already begun to tremble under the constant barrage of the energy ripples, and it was shaking more and more. Several tens of thousand people had already gathered within the barrier, including saint rulers. All of them stared nervously at the barrier above as it constantly shook. They all knew that the Tao family would have been flattened by the ripples of battle in a single moment if the barrier hadn't been protecting them. At this moment, a golden, dazzling light flickered. Tai Ta quickly swung the meter-long edge of his axe across the air, blowing away the 2nd heavenly layer Saint King. A supreme battle intent was present within the blade of the axe. It seemed to be able to annihilate the souls of people. As the target of Tai Ta's attack, the battle intent experienced by the 2nd heavenly layer Saint King was the most intense. It collapsed his willpower to battle. He actually felt powerless before the strike. The golden light grew larger and larger in his pupils. Not only did the battle intent shatter his courage to battle, it had drawn away all of his attention as well. His soul had already become silently injured after being struck by the supreme battle intent. Spurt. The golden axe passed through the Saint King. From the top of his head, he had been cleaved in half. His soul was wiped out before it could even flee. After killing the Saint King, the golden axe continued on without weakening at all, continuing toward the energy barrier that protected the Tao family. Boom! A deafening sound immediately reverberated from the energy barrier. It was already about to collapse from the energy ripples of 17 Saint Kings soon, so it immediately caved in after suffering an extraordinary strike from Tai Ta's axe. It shattered loudly. Without the protection of the barrier, the violent energy immediately surged toward the Tao family like a flood. At that moment, the various structures in the surroundings collapsed and countless people died or became injured. Tao Jingtian roared at the sky in anger. Extremely heavy killing intent radiated from him as he called out, "People of the Turtle Clan, if you're bold enough, face against us 10,000 kilometers away. There's no need to move that far away. Isn't it pretty good to have a death match here? Jian Chen sneered. He was not worried. No matter what the outcome of the battle was, the Tao family would suffer severely. Arg. Experts of the Turtle Clan, I want to skin you alive and wrench out your tendons. Tao Jingtian roared at the sky. A third of the elite members of the Tao family had passed away in the short moments since the barrier had shattered. They were all the future hope of the Tao family. Jian Shen laughed at the sky. Tao Jingtian, didn't you treat my Turtle Clan the same way 3 days ago? It would be rude of me to not return the favor. I just want to return the method that your Tao family used to deal with my Turtle Clan. And this is just the beginning. Chapter 1235, Battle Between Two Clans, 3. Tao Jingtian became pale white because of what Jian Chen had said. His killing intent inside was so heavy that it had reached his limits. He yelled, "Ruler of the Turtle Clan, I swear to the heavens that I will reduce you to nothing. You will regret living. I will make you pay a heavy price for what you did today." Ha ha ha, I have never regretted anything I've done. Tao Jingtian, you may be stronger than me right now, but you still don't have the right to reduce me to nothing with your strength, sneered Jian Chen. He immediately swung his emperor armament with lightning-like speed, shooting out 5 strands of powerful, black sword qi. Within a single moment, Tao Jingtian easily dodged Jian Chen's 5 sword qi. Although the sword qi failed to hit him, they continued on without slowing at all. They caught up with 5 saint rulers of the Tao family who were currently fleeing, impaling their bodies and vanishing. Arg! The 5 saint rulers all howling in agony as their faces distorted. It seemed like they were suffering from excruciating torture. However, they stopped crying out after a few seconds. Soon after their silence, their eyes blanked out since the black sword qi had reached their souls, dissipating them. Although Tao Jingtian placed all his attention on Jian Chen, he knew exactly what was happening in the surroundings. He saw how the Jian Chen's sword qi had perfectly hit the 5 saint rulers. It was impossible for him to not understand that Jian Chen's sword qi was not targeting him, but the saint rulers of his clan. Tao Jingtian immediately roared out in anger. He began to wildly attack Jian Chen with his lance since his hatred for Jian Chen reached the absolute limit. Although his clan was large, one of the strongest clans in the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall, they only had around a dozen saint rulers. It was a devastating loss to lose 5 saint rulers in one stroke. Tao Jingtian's lance and Jian Chen's emperor armament had turned into blurs as they swung them. The 2 weapons collided from time to time, erupting with violent booms. Powerful streams of energy and residual sword qi were launched in all directions, creating huge, bottomless pits as they struck the ground. A few wounds had already appeared on Jian Chen's body, dyeing his clothes red with blood. Even though he was injured, his battle prowess did not decrease, and instead, it became even mightier the more he fought. At the same time, he rapidly circulated chaotic force within his body, which not only stabilized his condition in an extremely short amount of time, but also allowed his wounds to rapidly close up. Jian Chen really was not Tao Jingtian's opponent, but it was basically impossible for Tao Jingtian to kill him. Heavily injuring him or dealing a fatal blow to Jian Chen was impossible in a short amount of time. At this moment, another dazzling stream of golden light flickered. Tai Ta swept through the air with his axe, swinging it toward the 3rd heavenly layer Saint King. Before it had even struck its target, the supreme battle intent hidden inside collided against the Saint King's soul like a great warhammer, shattering his courage in battle and stunning him for a moment. In that moment, the golden light disappeared with a flash. The axe had already cleaved through the head of the Saint King, obliterating his soul. Even his body had been chopped into 2 by Tai Ta. Blood sprayed into the air and fell like rain. Tai Ta smoothly removed the Saint King's space ring before immediately moving away. With a flash of golden light, he had disappeared, appearing next to Nubis in a moment. Nubis' opponent was a Saint King of the 4th heavenly layer. He possessed the same strength as Nubis, but as Nubis was a beast of antiquity, there was rarely anyone who could match up to him within the same level of cultivation. Although it was very difficult for him to kill someone like that in such a short amount of time, he had heavily injured his opponent with his poison. He was poisoned by the venom of a silver-striped golden snake, which was extremely potent. Coupled with Nubi's strength as a fourth heavenly layer Saint King, the venom was countless times more powerful than before. Even Saint Kings were likely to suffer death if they were poisoned and did not do something about it soon. Big fellow, I can finish him. He can't last much longer, so don't worry about me. Go help the others. Nubis obviously knew what Tai Ta wanted to do when he saw him arrive by his side. He hurriedly informed Tai Ta of the situation. Nubis, Jian Chen said that we need to finish off as many Saint Kings in the shortest amount of time as possible, or we'll have no chance once Tao Jingtian pulls out his divine hull. Let me finish him off quickly, and then you can immediately go help out Jian Chen against Tao Jingtian, Tai Ta said with his deep voice. Alright, I'll leave this person to you, big fellow. I'll go help out Jian Chen. Nubis still ended up abiding by what Tai Ta said. He passed his enemy to Tai Ta and immediately went up to assist Jian Chen against Tao Jingtian. The Tao family had a total of 2 Saint Kings. The first one was Tao Jingtian while the second one was Tao Lin. In his battle against Nubis, Tao Lin had been poisoned, resulting in an abrupt drop in strength and then suffered a few attacks from Nubis. He was already heavily injured, and just when he could not last much longer, his opponent changed from Nubis, who was only a little stronger than him, to the terrifying Tai Ta, making his heart sink. Although he had never clashed with Tai Ta before, he had witnessed Tai Ta killing off 2 Saint Kings with ease. Probably even Tao Jingtian was unable to accomplish something so glorious, so how was it possible for him to last very long in front of Tai Ta while he was heavily injured? At that moment, Tao Lin's fear for Tai Ta reached an absolute limit. He had no interest in fighting Tai Ta, so he turned around and fled as quickly as possible. Tai Ta became slightly stunned by how Tao Lin fled. However, he soon smiled in a straightforward manner. You can't run from me. Mysteries of war, celestial movement. With that, Tai Ta vanished with a flash of golden light. He had basically reappeared the next moment several thousand meters away. Not only was he ahead of Tao Lin, who had turned to flee, he just happened to stop right in front of him. Tao Lin was surprised by how Tai Ta had appeared in front of him like teleportation. Disbelief filled his face, but before he could do anything, a dazzling, golden light appeared in his eyes. He saw Tai Ta's axe swing toward him as it glowed with an endless luster. Just when he wanted to dodge, the supreme battle intent smashed against his soul like a hammer, making it feel like thunder had erupted in his head. Not only did it shatter all his courage for battle, it jolted him to the point where he became dumbstruck. The supreme battle intent from the axe was casually given off by Tai Ta. He did not use all his strength intentionally. Tao Lin was stronger than the 2 Saint Kings Tai Ta had killed before, so his soul was stronger as well. As a result, he obviously possessed better resistance. Just as Tai Ta's axe was about to land on him, Tao Lin suddenly stirred. As he stared at the rapidly expanding axe in front of him, he immediately paled in fright and placed his trident before him without a second thought. Ding! The trident split in half as it blocked Tai Ta's strike. The great force blew Tao Lin away, who heavily struck the ground below, forming a great crater. His entire body was wedged into the ground as blood shot out. Tai Ta did not plan on letting Tao Lin go. He immediately chased him with his golden axe. Tao Lin. Tao Jingtian sensed that Tao Lin's life was in danger, so he furiously roared at the sky. He forced Jian Chen away with a full-powered attack before charging toward Tao Lin in attempt to save him. Tao Lin was a Saint King of the Tao family and had deep ties with Tao Jingtian. Tao Jingtian could watch indifferently as the Saint Kings of other clans fell, but he could not allow the Saint Kings of the Tao family to die right before him. Nubis charged over from afar in an aggressive manner to block Tao Jingtian's path. He sneered, Tao Jingtian, allow me, the great Nubis, to understand your strength. With that, Nubis spat out a gray cloud of venomous gas while his hands turned into powerful claws. They were rather similar to Rui Jin's dragon claws. He then clawed at Tao Jingtian's chest. A vast energy surged from Tao Jingtian, instantly forming a 3-inch thick barrier of energy around him. It blocked Nubi's venomous gas while his claws became abnormally slow when they came in contact with the barrier. Piss off! Tao Jingtian angrily roared, hurling his palm at Nubi's. It knocked Nubi's away and caused him to vomit blood. Tao Jingtian then shot toward Tao Lin with lightning-like speed to save him. Tai Ta understood Tao Jingtian's intentions. He finally became slightly stern as he gripped his axe with 2 hands. Bright golden light quickly began to gather around the axe as the battle intent within rapidly skyrocketed. Mysteries of War, Void Smasher. Tai Ta mumbled deeply as he suddenly swung the axe above his head. A streak of dazzling, golden light disappeared into the void. Tao Jingtian hurried toward Tao Lin without paying attention to anything, but at that moment, his expression suddenly changed. Just when he was 3 meters away, a dazzling streak of golden light seemed to appear out of nowhere, cleaving toward him with lightning-like speed. At the same time, a supreme battle intent suddenly erupted, slamming against his soul like a huge hammer. The battle intent was many times more powerful than what Tao Lin had experienced. Caught off guard, Tao Jingtian immediately let his attention slip. However, he was a peak 8th heavenly layer Saint King after all, so both the strength of his soul and power was incomparable to Tao Lin. He basically returned to his senses in a single moment, and without any hesitation, he immediately stabbed out as hard as he could. Thus, his lance collided with Tai Ta's axe. Boom! A deafening sound immediately erupted in the air. Although Tao Jingtian had managed to block Tai Ta's axe with his hurried strike, he retreated uncontrollably from the violent residual energy. He became disheveled while his clothes became a mess. He was in an extremely horrible condition. Chapter 1236. A stalemate of divine halls. Tao Jingtian stabilized himself after traveling 1,000 meters. He stared in shock at Tai Ta, who was bathed in golden light, as disbelief filled his face. He could feel that Tai Ta was not very powerful, having not reached the 16th star, but he was able to deliver such a terrifying attacks at will with his level of cultivation. His attacks also seemed to possess wondrous effects that attacked the soul. This was the first time he had ever come across something like this. At the same time, he understood that if it were not for the fact that he was at the peak of the 8th heavenly layer and that his soul was much more powerful, he definitely would not have been able to react under the barrage of the battle intent within the axe so quickly. In that crucial moment, if he had reacted slightly slower, he would not have just been knocked away. He would have been heavily injured at the very least. Just where did this person come from? And what heaven-defying cultivation method does he practice? Tao Jingtian exclaimed inside. Tao Jingtian found it very abnormal for such a terrifying expert to be unknown in the sea realm. However, before Tao Jingtian could think of anything else, Jian Chen rushed over from afar. He stabbed at Tao Jingtian as a layer of chaotic force wrapped around his emperor armament, sticking to Tao Jingtian firmly and preventing him from assisting other Saint Kings. Tao Jingtian, taste my Saint Tier battle skill. Nubis called out as vast energy coiled around his surroundings. His arms moved in a wondrous pattern as he cast his modified Saint Tier battle skill. Nubis was currently pale white. He had been quite heavily injured when he had been blown away by Tao Jingtian's palm strike. However, he was still a beast of antiquity. Although his body was not as powerful as Jian Chen's chaotic body, it was still extremely tough. His injuries were not enough to influence his battle prowess. It was clearly quite a big deal for Nubis to cast his Saint Tier battle skill. He was unable to use it instantaneously with his strength as a 4th heavenly layer Saint King, so he needed a few seconds to charge up. A layer of dense, golden energy rapidly surged out of his body, coiling around him as it rotated. The color was the same as the energy used by Tai Ta, but that was only the appearance. In reality, the two energies were completely different. They weren't anywhere close to being the same. Soaring draconic serpent. Nubis furiously roared as the golden energy around him froze at that moment. It turned into a huge, golden dragon that coiled around him, and with a clear roar, the snake-like dragon took to the air. A great pressure surged toward Tao Jingtian, acting against him while he battled Jian Chen. Nubi's Saint-Tier battle skill had already reached the 7th heavenly layer, but Tao Jingtian still managed to deal with both the battle skill and Jian Chen in an extremely composed manner. Each time he stabbed out with his lance, the golden dragon would be cleaved in half. However, Nubi's Saint-Tier battle skill contained a shred of the silver-striped golden snake's essence, so it was clearly different from other battle skills. Before the golden dragon could dissipate after it had been split in half, it reformed in an extremely short amount of time, continuing toward Tao Jingtian with the same amount of force as before. On the other side, Tai Ta had already arrived by the crater that Tao Lin had formed. He mercilessly swung his axe of golden light, ending Tao Lin's life. Tao Jingtian violently jerked with Tao Lin's death as a sliver of sorrow crossed his face. He wanted to help, but he was caught in a busy scuffle with Jian Chen and Nubis. Tai Ta was so close to Tao Lin as well. He would not have been able to make it even if he had pulled out his divine hull. As a result, he could only watch helplessly as Tao Lin died before his eyes. Tai Ta took away Tao Lin's space ring before arriving beside Qi Nishuan. He said with his deep but gentle voice, "Leave this to me. Go help Jian Chen." Qi Nishuan said nothing. She nodded before handing her opponent to Tai Ta, charging towards Tao Jingtian. Tao Jingtian finally felt slightly pressured when Qi Nishuan joined in. The Saint Kings on his side were rapidly dying. There would be one extra Saint King on the Turtle Clan's side to come deal with him after every death. Once the battle became drawn out, he would gain more and more opponents, and it would become even more difficult for him to face all of them. Tao Jingtian knew he could not continue like this when he arrived at that conclusion. The longer he lasted, the more casualties his side would suffer. On the other hand, although there were some people who had become injured on the Turtle Clan's side, none of them had died. All the people of the Tao family entered the Divine Hall immediately. Tao Jingtian called out as a sound wave erupted through the battle between the Saint Kings. It echoed within a radius of 100 kilometers. A simple Divine Hall was thrown into the air by Tao Jingtian. It became a huge, majestic hall in the blink of an eye in the incoming wind. It radiated with a desolate presence and was covered by marks left behind by time. Clearly, it had existed for a very long time already. The Divine Hall immediately produced an extremely heavy boom when it struck the ground. The entire place shook violently as the Divine Hall's door swung open. It stood like a tough fortress and blocked all the violent energies that swept through the sky. It created a region of safety around the Divine Hall. The scattered, terrified clansmen, who were dodging the streams of energy, seemed like they had seen a ray of hope and charged into the Divine Hall as quickly as they could. A dazzling golden light radiated through the air. Tai Ta swung his axe with great force toward a black-robed old man in front of him. The old man was a Saint King of the 5th heavenly layer, but he had already become heavily injured from his fight with Qi Nishuan. As a result, he did not have any power to resist Tai Ta's powerful swing. At the moment he had become dazed from the supreme battle intent, the golden axe cleaved his head in half. 4 of the 9 Saint Kings within the alliance had been slain by Tai Ta with lightning-like speed, and the remaining 5 held their ground with difficulty. However, all of them were extremely stern without exception. They no longer revealed the great confidence they had showed earlier. Meanwhile, the ancestor of the Moshi clan regretted his actions inside. If he had known that the Turtle clan was so powerful earlier, he would never have agreed to the marriage with the Tao family, much less work with the Tao family against the Turtle clan. His Moshi clan had suffered severely from the conflict with the Turtle clan since one of the Saint Kings slain by Tai Ta was a part of his clan. Enter the Divine Hall. Tao Jingtian bellowed with a sunken expression. He was not carried away by his battle. He swung his lance as hard as he could, forcing back Jian Chen and Qi Nishuan. Afterward, he retreated, disappearing in the Divine Hall with a flash. The 4 other Saint Kings in the alliance did not tarry either, entering the Divine Hall at the same time as Tao Jingtian, moving as quickly as they could. The Divine Hall's door suddenly slammed shut and the structure rose up from the ground, quickly reaching an altitude of 1,000 kilometers. "Ancestor, let us in." Over 1,000 clansmen of the Tao family had failed to enter the divine hall in time. They all began to plead as despair filled their faces. A few clever people immediately turned around to flee into the distance when they saw that there was no hope of entering the divine hall. They wanted to avoid the pursuit of the Turtle Clan experts as well as the energy ripples from the battle. Tao Jingtian did not leave as he controlled the divine hall. Instead, the divine hall rapidly fell onto Jian Chen and the others. He wanted to use the toughness of his divine hall to deal with the 8 of them. Jian Chen coldly smiled when he realized what Tao Jingtian was trying to do. "Tao Jingtian, do you think you're the only one with a divine hall?" The Octaterra divine hall had appeared in Jian Chen's hands and transformed into a gigantic structure instantly. It was no smaller than Tao Jingtian's divine hall. Jian Chen, Nubis, Tai Ta, Qing Yishuan, Tai Do, Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mokas all charged into the divine hall. Under Jian Chen's control, the divine hall quickly charged into the sky. It moved like a streak of light, and by the looks of it, it looked to be flying toward the Tao family's divine hall. Although the Octaterra divine hall had been beaten to ruins by Kaiser, it could repair automatically. After so much time, it had recovered by at least 80% even though it had not completely returned to how it had been before, and it seemed fine from the outside. Boom! With a violent sound, the 2 divine halls brutally collided in the air. The great force created from the collision knocked the 2 of them away. The 2 divine halls remained in perfect condition. The violent collision had not even left a scratch on them. The divine halls hovered at a high altitude in unison after clashing once. They both knew that neither of them could do anything to the other unless they were in possession of a Saint Emperor's strength. "Ruler of the Turtle Clan, I never thought you'd have a divine hall as well." Tao Jingtian's cold voice rang from his divine hall. Jian Shen appeared silently on the highest point of the Octaterra divine hall. He coldly stared at the Tao family's divine hall 1,000 meters away and responded with, "Tao Jingtian, I still can't break through your divine hall today, so it ends here. However, this by no means resolves the enmity between your Tao family and my Turtle Clan. When I gain the power that can break through the divine hall, the experts of the Turtle Clan will come visiting again." Chapter 1237, Emissary of the Heaven Spirit Hall. You sure put it lightly. The only way for you to smash through my divine hall is to break through to the 17th star and become an emperor. Ruler of the Turtle Clan, I must admit that I've underestimated the strength of your clan, but it's impossible for you to become an emperor. Tao Jingtian's icy cold voice reverberated from the divine hall. It was filled with scorn. How could reaching the level of emperors be that easy? Even Tao Jingtian, who was about to become a hall elder, did not yearn for such a level of strength. Jian Shen sneered, "It's not up to you to decide whether I can become an emperor or not. The next time I visit your Tao family will be the day I smash your divine hall." With that, Jian Shen controlled the divine hall and flew away. He picked up the elders of the Turtle Clan, who were hiding several dozen kilometers away, and returned to the clan. Jian Shen knew that Tao Jingtian possessed a divine hall, so wiping out the Tao family was impossible. He still was not in possession of the power to destroy divine halls. What he did today was to collect some of the debt the Tao family owed the Turtle Clan and to make the alliance pay a certain price for the disaster they had caused several days ago. The divine hall vanished into the horizon with the experts of the Turtle Clan. Only after confirming that they would not return did Tao Jingtian put away his divine hall. However, only the 5 Saint Kings who had managed to survive left the divine hall. Tao Jingtian dared not let out the clansmen who had entered, afraid that Jian Shen would take revenge on them. Tao Jingtian silently hovered in the air with the 4 other experts as they stared at the land of the Tao family that had been reduced to ruins. They were all gloomy and their emotions were heavy. The corpses of the people from the Tao family were littered everywhere in the messy ruins. These people had all died from the great ripples of battle that had appeared in the battle between the Saint Kings, and among the corpses were close to 10 saint rulers. Tao Jingtian slowly glanced over the ruins as his face darkened. His hands creaked from how hard he clenched them as flames of fury burned within him along with deep regret. His clan had lost far too much during that battle. Over half of the clansmen had died and barely any elites were left. Even 2/3 of the saint rulers had died along with Tao Lin, who was a saint king. Compared to the Tao family, the losses of the Turtle clan were nothing. After all, their core power still existed. We judged the Turtle clan's strength incorrectly. We never thought that they were actually so powerful. The Turtle clan will not just let this matter go like this. My Tai clan does not have a divine hall. Tao Jingtian, I need to return to my clan immediately and find a way to avoid the revenge of the Turtle clan, Tai Tongyi informed him with a heavy voice. I must immediately return to sort this out as well, or the Turtle clan can easily wipe out my Cayenne clan with the strength they've displayed, said the ancestor of the Cayenne clan. His face was rather pale, and he felt extremely regretful over what he had taken part in. If he had known that the Turtle clan was this powerful before, he would have politely handed over the crystal mines he had taken from the Turtle clan. Sai, the ancestor of the Moshi clan, exhaled as worry filled his face as well. He was constantly berating himself inside. Originally, his clan had nothing to do with the whole matter, but he was greedy for the resources the Turtle clan possessed, so he agreed to the marriage with the Tao family, causing him to join with the Tao family to handle the Turtle clan. It's all because of my greed, the ancestor sighed inside. With everything how it was now, he knew that his clan had already become tied with the Tao family. Regret was already useless. Everyone, we've become complete enemies of the Turtle clan. Fleeing is completely useless. The Turtle clan will never let us go. Let's fuse our clans together for now and protect ourselves with my divine hall. We can slowly develop a plan to deal with the Turtle clan later, said Tao Jingtian. He knew that the experts around him represented an extremely great force. They were a great resource for dealing with the Turtle clan, so he needed to make them stay no matter what. After considering their choices, the other Saint Kings all nodded before returning to their clans to make some preparations. Afterward, they sent the elite forces of their clans as well as their direct descendants to the Tao family. All the clansmen who had not been sent to the Tao family were dismissed, making them hide themselves in various places around the sea realm. It was no longer their problem if the people of the Turtle clan decided to hunt them down or not. A huge, majestic divine hall stood quietly in the very center of the Heaven's Spirit Hall's territory. The divine hall was a supreme existence within the land because it was where the ruler resided. At this moment, an illusionary, middle-aged man sat on a throne in the highest, most well-decorated room of the hall. He was an image projected by a powerful soul and not the person himself. A capable old man knelt beneath him. Hall Master, I have returned from investigating things on the Tianyun continent. That person's name is Jian Chen, and he is extremely well known on the Tianyun continent. He is an unprecedented prodigy, having reached Saint Ruler in less than 50 years of cultivation. In the end, because of matters due to the ancient beast god, he suffered the pursuit of the emperors from the beast god continent, which was why he hid in the sea realm. During that time, he assisted the Dare tribe in dealing with the Mengwang tribe and happened to slay the emissary of the serpent god Hall who was in possession of the abyssal crystal. He obtained the crystal from there and fled into the territory of the sea goddess Hall. He then ended up with the ruler's chi of the Turtle clan for some unknown reason and becoming their ruler. The illusionary man on the throne frowned slightly. Although the winged tiger god was an ancient beast god that could possibly surpass Saint Emperor, all of it had nothing to do with the sea realm. What truly intrigued him was how Jian Chen possessed the ruler's chi of the Turtle clan when he was clearly a human. The old man continued, I've just received recent news that Jian Chen has been appearing on the Tianyun continent from time to time, and his strength has increased to the level of a Saint King. However, he also appears from time to time in the sea realm and has even ventured into the dangerous divine realm. However, the barrier that guards the sea realm only allows outsiders that are below Saint King to enter. Once they reach Saint King, their entry will be denied after they leave, but this Jian Chen seems to be able to pass through it at will, as if the barrier's restriction of strength is completely unless against him. I originally believed that the Jian Chen who had appeared on the Tianyun continent and the ruler of the Turtle clan were two different people, but when I had analyzed when Jian Chen and the ruler of the Turtle clan appeared and disappeared, they matched up perfectly, to my surprise. Every time Jian appears on the Tianyun continent, the ruler of the Turtle Clan would vanish and vice versa. Even more importantly, Jian Chen's increases in strength actually match up perfectly with the ruler of the Turtle Clan. When Jian Chen sought refuge in the Sea Realm, he was just a saint ruler, and the ruler back then was the same. Afterward, the Jian Chen from the Tianyun continent reached Saint King, and the ruler of the Turtle Clan mirrored the action closely. This is why I suspect the two of them to be the same person. The Hall Master of the Heaven Spirit Hall deeply smiled and said, other than that, even his name and appearance is the exact same. There's no need for any more guessing. They're definitely the same person. If I've guessed correctly, the ruler's chi that's appeared on Jian Chen for no reason should explain why he can freely pass through the barrier of the Sea Realm. The old man knelt on the ground courteously as he remained silent. The Hall Master waved his hand, "You are dismissed, and send an emissary to the Turtle Clan in the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall. Tell him that I have invited him to my Heaven Spirit Hall as a guest." "Yes, Hall Master." In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed since the battle of the Turtle Clan and the Tao family. During those 5 days, Jian Chen led a group of experts from the Turtle Clan to visit all the clans that had allianced themselves with the Tao family. Jian Chen ruthlessly wiped out the upper echelon, elites and direct descendants of the clans that had taken part in the attack against the Turtle Clan, leaving behind a few innocent mercenaries and servants who were free to go. Not only did the Turtle Clan take back all the crystal mines they had lost several days ago, they even obtained a large number of crystal coins and valuable items from these clans. Other than the large clans that the 4 Saint Kings belonged to, which were cleared out, all the other clans and organizations either dispersed or were wiped out. Their names completely disappeared from the Sea Realm. Even the Great Moshi clan was reduced to an empty shell. All the items that could be taken away were taken away, while the direct descendants and the upper echelon had completely vanished. All that was left was a few people of lower statuses. Jian Chen knew that the Moshi clan and the 3 other clans had abandoned the bases that they had erected with much effort. They had all led their experts and elites to join up with the Tao family. Jian Chen did not really care in regard to this. He could not wipe out the Tao family right now, so it was nothing even if he let them exist for a few more days. Once he obtained the power to destroy the divine hall of the Tao family, he would completely finish resolving their enmity. The battle between the Turtle Clan and Tao family had already swept through the entire territory of the Sea Goddess Hall. All the people were shocked by the Turtle Clan's strength. At the same time, all the great clans within the territory began to deeply fear them. On this day, Jian Chen was discussing the future developments of the clan with the elders of the Turtle Clan. A guard suddenly ran in and dropped to one knee. "Ruler, the Heaven Spirit Hall has sent an emissary. He has said that he was sent by their Hall Master. The Hall Master wants to meet the ruler." Chapter 1238, Houston becomes a Saint Emperor. What? The Hall Master of the Heaven Spirit Hall has sent an emissary? Jian Chen was stunned by the guard's report. The Hall Master of the Heaven Spirit Hall was one of the 3 rulers of the Sea Realm. He was a Saint Emperor, so why would someone as great as him send an emissary to the Turtle Clan as well as say that he wanted to see him? Jian Chen did not have any connections with the Hall Master. "Invite the emissary into the guest room," Jian Chen said to the guard after thinking a little. The guard left as ordered while Jian Chen put his meeting with the elders on hold. He then made his way to the guest room. The emissary was already waiting in the guest room. There were a total of 3 people, and the leading person was an ordinary-looking old man. He was dressed in a simple fashion while his eyes shone with gleams of light from time to time. 2 extremely burly men in tight robes stood behind the old man. Their uncovered, thick arms would flicker with weak, blue light from time to time. Both of them possessed deep blue skin. Jian Chen was slightly surprised when he glanced over the 3 of them. He could tell with a single glance that the seated old man was a 3rd heavenly layer Saint King, while the 2 middle-aged men behind him were 9th heavenly layer Saint Rulers. The emissary sent by the Heaven Spirit Hall is a Saint King and his followers are 9th heavenly layer Saint Rulers. What extravagance, Jian Chen thought inside. The emissary immediately stood from his seat when he saw Jian Chen. He clasped his hands at Jianshen with a smile. I am Hu Bai, and I greet the ruler of the Turtle Clan. You are far too polite, Emissary Hu Bai. Please sit, Jianshen politely replied with a smile before sitting opposite of Hu Bai. He asked for his well-being out of politeness before approaching the main topic. May I ask why you've come from so far away to my Turtle Clan? The Sea Goddess Hall, Heaven's Spirit Hall, and Serpent God Hall had an agreement. All members of the halls were not allowed to trespass each other's territory without explicit permission. Although Hu Bai belonged to the Heaven's Spirit Hall, he had come to the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall as an emissary. As long as he did not cause trouble here, he would obviously be able to pass through smoothly. Ruler, I've come under the orders of the Great Hall Master to pass on a message. The Great Hall Master has personally invited the ruler to our Heaven's Spirit Hall as a guest. Ruler, so, Hu Bai said amicably as gave a positive smile. He was very polite. Jianshen frowned slightly. He had no ties with the Hall Master of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. He had even visited the Heaven's Spirit Hall to cause trouble once, but it was resolved when a Hall Elder of the Heaven's Spirit Hall told Lan Jing, Xian Pian, and Mokas to follow him. He could not agree no matter what if the Hall Master of the Heaven's Spirit Hall wanted him to visit. This was because he was only safe in the Sea Goddess Hall among the 3 territories. Jianshen immediately displayed a slightly troubled expression when he thought up to there. He said, Emissary Hu Bai, please help me bring back a message to your esteemed Hall Master. My clan has undergone conflict with the Tao family recently and we are suffering from significant losses, so I still have many matters to deal with. I really can't make the time, but if I really am able in the future, I will definitely pay a visit to the Heaven's Spirit Hall. Jianshen really meant it when he said he would pay a visit, but that would only be once he was powerful enough to deal with Saint Emperors. At that time, he would definitely pay a visit to the Heaven's Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall, the Serpent God Hall in particular. He had yet to clear his debt from back then with them. The emissary had obviously heard of the news between the Turtle Clan and the Tao family's alliance, so he did not doubt what Jianshen had said. Also, he was unsure what the connection between the Hall Master and Jianshen was, so he dared not to do anything that could offend Jianshen. As a result, he stood up with a smile and clasped his hands. Sure. The Turtle Clan has just gone through a battle, so there are obviously countless miscellaneous matters to deal with. Ruler, I've already delivered the message, so my mission is complete. I should return, so I'll stop wasting the ruler's precious time. Farewell. Farewell. Jianshen also stood up and saw Hu Bai off personally. He then continues the meeting with the Turtle Clan discussing the future developments. After the meeting, Jianshen went nowhere. He passed down images of the materials needed for the Azulet swords to people so they could search the entire sea realm before entering seclusion himself. He continued to work hard on absorbing the almost invalid monster cores to increase his strength while he waited for the arrival of the worldly ebb. 2 days later, Hu Bai reported what Jianshen had said to the Hall Master without missing a single detail in the gigantic divine hall of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. The Hall Master remained as a projection of the soul. After listening to Hu Bai's report, he frowned slightly and dismissed Hu Bai with a wave of his hand. He mumbled to himself, the ruler of the Turtle Clan has actually made up an excuse against me. Looks like inviting him over really will be quite difficult. Do I have to visit him personally? With that, the Hall Master sank deep into thought. He remained silent for quite some time. An old man in hemp clothing currently sat in a cave within a mountain in a huge, desolate mountain range on the Tianyun continent. A dense red mist permeated his surroundings, and it was sticky like blood. It would pulse from time to time like a heart, churning violently at other times as if a dragon was stirring. The old man was Houston. After obtaining the Empyrean demon orb from Jianshen, he had left Longevity Valley and found a desolate mountain range with scarce energy of the world to enter seclusion. He was trying to break through to Saint Emperor. At this moment, the red mist around Houston came to a sudden stop, as if the beating heart had come to a halt. It all stopped moving. However, this only lasted for several seconds. Suddenly, a terrifying presence that seemed to be enough to destroy the surroundings began to radiate from him. The presence was extremely powerful and destroyed the cave. The entire mountain cracked open as countless pieces of rock flew in all directions. Houston felt nothing. He sat unmoving like a mountain, floating in the air unaffected by gravity. Wild wind whistled past, but it could not blow him away. Meanwhile, his terrifying presence engulfed the entire mountain range. An even stickier blood-red mist radiated from Houston's body before turning into a tornado that quickly revolved around him. As it spun, the dense and sticky mist would rapidly grow deeper in color and became more consolidated. It was taking a qualitative leap bit by bit at a visible rate. A mass of colorful clouds had already appeared in the sky that was originally a deep blue. The clouds actually contained 9 colors. They were the 9-colored rainbow clouds that rarely ever appeared on the Tianyun continent. With the mountain range as its center, the clouds expanded silently in all directions at an unbelievable rate. In just half a minute, the clouds enveloped the entire continent. At that moment, everyone across the continent stopped what they were doing. They looked at the sky in curiosity, staring at the silent, colorful clouds in the sky. Very few people knew what was happening. In the various cities on the Tianyun continent, both the hurried or feasting mercenaries and merchants were standing on the street without any exceptions. They all pointed at the 9-colored rainbow clouds and discussed them. No one knew what was happening. However, different rumors appeared in every place very soon. Some people said that the 9-colored clouds were an omen of great fortune. The continent was about to change and be united by a powerful empire or organization, creating a whole new empire. There were some other people who said that a spiritual item of the world or some great treasure was about to come into existence with the 9-colored clouds. There were even others who said that the clouds were an omen of disaster, that an unprecedented calamity was about to happen to the Tianyun continent, bad enough to destroy the world. All the saint rulers and saint kings who stayed in the miniature world within Mercenary City received the news. They made their way out as soon as possible and raised their heads at the sky, staring blankly. The people with the lowest standings on the continent had no idea what the rainbow clouds meant. However, the meaning behind the clouds was no secret to a few saint rulers and knowledgeable heaven saint masters. On the Tianyun continent, all the heaven saint masters who broke through to saint ruler would produce rainbow clouds. However, the area covered would be tiny and there would only be 5 colors. Rainbow clouds would also appear when reaching Saint King. The colors would increase to 7 and cover an even larger area. If a Saint King broke through to Saint Emperor, 9 colored lights on clouds would descend from the sky, enveloping the entire continent. The saint rulers and saint kings in Mercenary City all knew from the 9 colored clouds that a second Saint Emperor would be appearing after the Path Lord of Carnal Desires on the Tianyun continent. Who is it? Just who has become a Saint Emperor? A Saint King Elder hovered above Mercenary City and wondered in excitement while staring at the 9 colored clouds. His voice trembled and contained unhideable envy and yearning. Someone has actually broken through the last step to become a Saint Emperor in this age that lacks Saint Emperors. He must be someone extremely outstanding. I just wonder who he is. Is he Great Elder Tianyun or a member of the Protector clans? Another Saint King asked with mixed emotions in Mercenary City. Chapter 1239. Congratulations from everywhere. Great Elder Tianyun has reached the great perfection of Saint King for many years now, but he has never been able to overcome the final barrier. He's now approaching the end of his life with only 100 years left. Just a while ago, Great Elder Tianyun suddenly stepped down from his position and left Mercenary City in search of a breakthrough to Saint Emperor, yet the 9-colored rainbow clouds have descended now. This is the sign that someone has reached Saint Emperor. Is it really Great Elder Tianyun? The speaker was a ruddy old man. He used to be the second elder of Mercenary City, but after Tianyun stepped down, he was elevated to Grand Elder. He was now the most authoritative person in the city, possessing strength at the 9th heavenly layer and was not too far from reaching great perfection. Meanwhile, Tianyun became a Great Elder of Mercenary City after having resigned from his post. Great Elder Tianyun has only left the city recently. I don't think he's broken through to Saint Emperor in such a short amount of time, said a red-robed, middle-aged man. He was a Saint King elder of the city. The number of Saint Kings currently at great perfection on the continent can be counted on fingers. Even if we include those independent cultivators who spend all their time hidden away in the mountains, there's less than 20. As for Great Elder Tianyun, his talent is extremely great, and he's read the cultivation experiences and knowledge of many Saint Emperor predecessors of Mercenary City. It's extremely likely for him to reach Saint Emperor. He might have left the city in such a manner to find something to trigger his breakthrough, said a skinny, extremely ordinary-looking Saint King elder. He felt unhideable admiration for Tianyun. At this moment, the new Grand Elder said, "All right, let's stop guessing here. In a while, once the person who's breaking through completely consolidates his cultivation, it will lead to a pulsing of the mysteries of the world that will spread across the entire continent. All we need to do is find the epicenter of the pulsing and then we'll know who's broken through." The 9-colored clouds had enveloped the entire continent. Although the sight had caused a great commotion as well as some fear among the weaker people of the continent, the matter influenced all the knowledgeable saint rulers and saint kings the most. All the Saint Kings on the continent struggled to maintain their calm as they all stared at the colorful clouds in excitement. Extremely great envy and yearning poured from their gazes. They were all curious to know just who had advanced. 10,000 kilometers away from the City of God, a wooden hut stood alone on the highest peak of the mountain range. The wind whistled wildly there, producing sounds like sobs, but it could not sway the wooden hut at all. At this moment, Hao Wu was standing with his arms crossed outside the hut. He stared at the clouds that had enveloped the entire world in interest as he mumbled, "Someone's finally broken through to Saint Emperor on the continent again." Hao Wu's eyes twinkled, revealing a sliver of envy and yearning as well. The realm of Saint Emperors was an irresistible enticement to all Saint Kings. However, he seemed to think of something soon afterward. The yearning in his eyes disappeared. It was replaced by a sliver of loneliness and deep sorrow. He turned around and entered the wooden hut, sitting next to the bed as he held Tianyun's white hand. He emotionally said, "I don't wish to reach Saint Emperor in this life. I only Tianyun can wake up sooner." Tianyun's situation had been caused by her attempted suicide. She had harmed her soul and sealed herself off, which had not left an injury of the body. As a result, Hao Wu could do nothing since injuries of the soul were the most difficult to deal with. The 9-colored clouds covered the sky for half a day before a powerful pulse of the mysteries of the world suddenly appeared, rapidly expanding into the distance. The pulsing was at the level of a Saint Emperor and originated from where the person breaking through was. It also symbolized a successful breakthrough to Saint Emperor. "I know where it is now. Let's go take a look." The Grand Elder of Mercenary City called on a group of people and immediately ripped open a space gate before hurrying away with everyone. "We finally know where that person is. Let's go and see just who has broken through." Other than the Changyang clan that had been sealed up, all the Saint Kings from the 9 other clans moved out, heading in the direction of the pulsing together. In this current era, breaking through to Saint Emperor on the Tianyun continent was a huge matter. Thus, the identity of the person was extremely important to the continent. His affiliations could affect the future of the continent to a certain degree. If he was affiliated with the good, it would obviously be something worth celebrating over for the continent, but if he was bad, it could lead to a disaster on the continent. All the Saint Kings in the 3 great empires, in the ancient clans, and the ones scattered across the continent had ripped open a space gate and hurried over the moment the pulse reached them, including Changyang Zhu Shao at the Changyang clan and Changyang Zhu Yun Shao, who was watching over the royal palace of the Jessen kingdom. Houston remained hovering in the air above the desolate mountain range. The blood-red mist around him had completely disappeared into his body while he radiated with a vast presence. Just the mere presence that he gave off from time to time was enough to make the surrounding space violently shake. It was extremely powerful. When Houston sensed the great powers brought on from breaking through to Saint Emperor, he could not help but sigh emotionally inside. The power of a Saint Emperor was incomparable to Saint Kings at great perfection. Even though he had just broken through, he felt like the current powers he possessed were more than enough to squash a Saint King at great perfection to death with ease. He had learned many shocking secrets from within the Empyrean demon orb after breaking through to Saint Emperor, because he could see an even larger world through the orb. Jian Shen has given me an overwhelming fortune. Saint Emperor is only the beginning of cultivation. The path in the future is still long, Houston thought. Reaching Saint Emperor was something worth being happy over, but Houston remained very calm. The surrounding space suddenly began to pulse as space gate after space gate appeared. Saint Kings emerged from all of them, and without any exception, all of the Saint Kings had erased their presences. They appeared like ordinary people, and even the Saint Kings from the Protector clans and Mercenary City were like that. In just a few short seconds, over 200 Saint Kings had gathered in the space that had been empty before. All of them focused their gazes on Houston as soon as they emerged from their space gates, no longer able to shift their attention away. All of them understood extremely well that a true Saint Emperor sat before them from the terrifying presence Houston gave off from time to time. Houston, I never thought that you'd reach Saint Emperor, the Grand Elder of Mercenary City sighed in surprise. He had thought about the people who could have become Saint Emperors earlier, but he definitely did not think that it would be an assassin. After all, the changes from 1,000 years ago had greatly affected Houston. However, the Grand Elder of Mercenary City also felt rather disappointed after confirming who it was. It was actually not Great Elder Tianyun. Congratulations, Sect Master Houston, for reaching Saint Emperor and reaching the apex of the Tianyun continent. A second Saint Emperor has finally appeared on our Tianyun continent after the Path Lord of Carnal Desires. The Pavilion Master of the Pure Heart Pavilion congratulated Houston first with a smile. Congratulations, Sect Master Houston. Afterward, all the Saint Kings arrived in front of him and congratulated him. Every single one of them bore smiles and spoke in a polite tone. In this era that lacked Saint Emperors, even the Protector clans with deep heritages were unwilling to offend them so easily. Former Sect Master, why, you've really become a Saint Emperor. An excited voice rang out from behind everyone. The Vice Sect Master of the Bloodsword Sect, Jiang Wang, pushed his way to the front as he excitedly looked at Houston. Jiang Wang's excitement had peaked after learning that it was Houston who had become a Saint Emperor. Houston finally opened his eyes at this moment. He first nodded at Jiang Wang before clasping his hands at the surroundings. I thank you all for your congratulations. Houston spoke with an extremely calm voice, without any joy or excitement that he should possess after reaching Saint Emperor. Houston has already become a glorious Saint Emperor, having become one of the only two of our continent, yet he's still able to remain so calm. Just this has already surpassed all of us present. No wonder it was Houston who reached Saint Emperor. So his mental state has already reached a level far beyond us, praised a Saint King, which immediately led to the agreement of many people. Houston smiled nonchalantly with that and said, there is never an end to cultivation. Saint Emperor is only just the beginning, so it's nothing to be proud about. We must understand that there is always someone greater than us elsewhere. We have only been sheltered and ignorant in the past. All the people became stunned with what Houston had said. Saint Emperor was actually just the beginning? If it was someone else who had said that and not Houston, some of the people present would probably have begun cursing them. Everyone, I still have matters to attend to, so farewell. Houston did not give a detailed explanation. He ripped open a space gate and left. He had learned a lot of information from the Empyrean Demon Orb with his breakthrough. Not only did he understand that Saint Emperor was just the beginning, he had learned some shockingly powerful secret techniques. Even as a Saint Emperor, he could only use these secret techniques with difficulty. Their levels had surpassed Saint-tier battle skills. 3 days later, Houston consolidated his cultivation as a Saint Emperor and also gained a basic grasp over some of the secret techniques. He then made his way to the Death Nest all by himself. It's here. This is the Death Nest. Weird. Why is the Empyrean Demon Orb constantly telling me that the Death Nest is calling to me? Houston stopped outside the Death Nest and became extremely curious. Chapter 1240, Blood Refining Formation. The Death Nest was filled with yin qi and churned with black mist. Vicious, terrifying faces of ghosts would be conjured from time to time and would roar at the outside world. They wanted to charge out of the Death Nest, but they were trapped inside by the huge barrier that surrounds the nest. No matter how powerful or terrifying the yin qi of the death nest was, none of it could leak outside. Houston had completely erased his presence as a Saint Emperor. He stood outside the death nest at ease with his hemp clothing and stared into the depths with a flickering light in his eyes. Some confusion and curiosity appeared in his eyes. In his head, the Empyrean demon orb's cries became more and more powerful, hurriedly urging Houston into the death nest, as if there was something that deeply attracted it inside. Houston was unaffected by the Empyrean demon orb. He could suppress the callings, but he did not do that. He knew that the Empyrean demon orb was extraordinary and the reason why he could become a Saint Emperor. Houston stood outside in thought for a while before taking a step into the death nest. He was now a Saint Emperor, and great confidence came along with his great strength. He believed that even if there was something truly dangerous in the death nest, he could still retreat safely. The death nest was the same as before. It was teeming with vile energies while the black mist churned constantly. The slightly spongy ground was scarlet red, as if it had been doused by blood. The scattered trees and vegetation swayed in the wind. They seemed like ghosts brandishing their teeth and claws, which made them seem sinister and terrifying. Houston remained the same as before as he calmly walked through the death nest. He maintained a straight path throughout, following the cries of the Empyrean demon orb as he headed straight for the depths. At this moment, a icy presence churned out of the mist, silently entering Houston's head. Although Houston had sensed it, he did not resist. He allowed the iciness to worm its way into his soul. He wanted to test the power of the icy presence. However, Houston came to a halt the next moment. A sliver of surprise appeared on his face as he said, "This strand of iciness can actually be devoured by the soul-devouring force. It can assist the cultivation of soul-devouring force." Soul-devouring force was also known as baleful yin force. This was something he had learned from the Empyrean demon orb. Before, Houston's cultivation method was a modified version of the Empyrean demon arts that came from the Empyrean demon orb. It had been modified by the Blood Demon Emperor and was an incomplete method, which was why soul-devouring force needed to be refined through slaughter and, thus, explained why it was a consumable. Now that Houston had obtained the complete cultivation method, all the energy within him had been transformed into soul-devouring force. Not only was it much more powerful than the baleful yin force he had controlled before, he could create it without slaughter. All he needed to do was absorb the energy of the world and convert it through the Empyrean demon arts. No wonder the Empyrean demon orb wants me to come here. So the death nest is like a blessed land to those who practice the Empyrean demon arts. Houston understood the situation very quickly and immediately began to move faster and faster. For both the Tianyun continent and the Beast God continent, it was extremely difficult to increase a person's strength once they reached Saint Emperor. Not only was this because of the absence of origin energy, but even the energy of the world was nowhere near as abundant as before. Very few people could reach the peak of Saint Emperor. Houston could already imagine that his strength would skyrocket in the future in a blessed place like the death nest. Houston moved faster and faster. Although he seemed like he was taking a casual stroll, he would travel several kilometers with every step. Since he moved very quickly, he did not come across a single saint ruler vengeful spirit in the first zone, so he quickly arrived in the second zone. In the second zone, the weakest vengeful spirits were saint kings. Before Houston could travel very far, he came across a Saint King vengeful spirit that attacked him from behind as silent as a shadow. Houston did not slow down at all. With a flick of his finger, a red spark shot out and accurately landed on the vengeful spirit. This was soul-devouring force. If it was before, Houston would have never used soul-devouring force so easily because it had been consumable and, hence, was extremely difficult to replenish. But after reaching Saint Emperor with the Empyrean demon arts, all the energy within him had been converted to soul-devouring force. To him, it was only an ordinary energy now and was extremely easily replenished, so he obviously did not mind using it. The vengeful spirit was dissipated by the strand of soul-devouring force. It turned into a dark mist and was no longer able to reform. As Houston moved, he suffered many attacks from Saint King vengeful spirits, but all of them were dissipated by him with a single strand of soul-devouring force without any exception, and they were unable to reform again. Along the way, quite a lot the icy tendrils tried to attack Houston's soul, but they were all refined by his soul-devouring force and became a part of his energy. Although the death nest was filled with danger, they formed no threat to him. He passed through the second zone very quickly and arrived in the third. As soon as he stepped into the third zone, an extremely powerful iciness wrapped around Houston from all directions. In the third zone, even Saint Kings at great perfection needed to circulate their saint force to resist the energies with an energy barrier outside, but Houston did not protect himself in any way, shape, or form. He allowed the iciness to worm its way into his body and soul. There was not the slightest discomfort at all, and instead, he felt extremely comfortable. This was because all the iciness that entered his body was converted into his own soul-devouring force. To Houston, who practiced the Empyrean demon arts, not only did the icy presence fail to harm him, it continuously strengthened him instead. It was like a dense energy of the world. Up ahead, two huge demonic figures slowly appeared in the churning mist, charging toward Houston like shadows. Saint Emperor Vengeful Spirits. Houston could tell the strength of the two figures with a single glance. They were powerful existences that stood at the same level as him. He immediately became serious, and with a flick of his finger, two powerful strands of soul-devouring force shot toward the two figures like swords. The vengeful spirits did not know how to dodge, so they charged at the soul-devouring force. As soon as they came in contact with the energy, they began to tremble violently. Their blurry faces began to distort, indicating pain, and then their bodies quickly faded. In just a few seconds, the two vengeful spirits had disappeared, turning into dull, dark mist that dispersed into the surroundings. Meanwhile, since Houston's two strands of soul-devouring force were too powerful, they continued into the depths of the death nest without weakening at all after dissipating the two demonic figures. The churning black mist dissipated wherever they passed by. Can this soul-devouring force suppress these vengeful spirits? Houston was slightly stunned. He was very surprised inside. Before, when he had killed the Saint King's vengeful spirits, he did not discover this because of how much more powerful he was. Now that he was dealing with Saint Emperor vengeful spirits, the effectiveness of soul-devouring force was immediately displayed. However, what Houston did not know was that the two strands of soul-devouring force he had used against the two vengeful spirits were slowly strengthening as they flew. All the black mist they passed by was absorbed by them, constantly strengthening the two strands. The soul-devouring force moved extremely quickly, arriving in the very center of the third zone very soon. Afterward, they dissipated as if they had collided with an invisible wall. At the same time, the entire place trembled slightly. At that moment, some minute changes seemed to happen to the death nest. Houston could obviously sense the changes as well since the calling of the Empyrean demon orb became more and more powerful. This filled him with curiosity as he continued toward the depths. Along the way, Houston came across Saint Emperor vengeful spirits from time to time, but his soul-devouring force was effective against them. No matter how many came, they posed no threat to him. Without much longer, Houston arrived in the center of the third zone. He did not continue on, and instead, he stood around quietly as he constantly examined his surroundings. His brows slowly furrowed as he murmured, "There's a formation hidden within the void here. It seems to be a formation recorded within the Empyrean demon orb, but it's a little different at the same time." Houston sank into his thoughts. A while later, a gleam of light flashed through his eyes as extremely dense soul-devouring force began to radiate from him. It turned into a red mist which extended out. Gradually, the formation hidden in the void appeared in front of Houston. As soon as it had appeared, it sucked away all of Houston's soul-devouring force. The energy seemed to have triggered the formation, and it began to shine with dazzling red light before rotating quickly after absorbing the soul-devouring force. Rumble. At the same time, heavy rumbles constantly rang through the death nest. The ground gently trembled as a hidden formation appeared on the ground. It was extremely large and expanded across the entire death nest. This seems to be the blood-refined formation recorded in the Empyrean demon orb, and it's complete. How can a complete blood-refining formation appear here? Houston immediately became shocked when he saw the formation appear on the ground. Chapter 1241, Blood Servant of the Death Nest. This blood-refining formation can refine the blood, flesh, and essence of people into soul-devouring force, but only those who practice the Empyrean demon arts can absorb soul-devouring force. Even if Saint Emperors come in contact with the soul-devouring force among the fighters of the Tianyun continent, their souls would be corroded away, yet there's actually a complete version of it in the Death Nest. Just who cast down this formation? Was it a Saint Emperor who was in possession of the Empyrean demon orb in the past? Houston diligently thought while filled with doubts. No. There's rumors from the ancient times that the strongest human, Tianyun, had collected the corpses of a large number of experts who had fallen in battle and created the Death Nest. Was the blood-refining formation cast down by Tianyun before? Did he also know the cultivation method in the Empyrean demon orb and practice the Empyrean demon arts, which was why he also knew the blood-refining formation recorded in the Empyrean demon orb? Was he using the blood, flesh, and essence to refine soul-devouring force for his own cultivation? Houston sank into his thoughts, but he shook his head soon after. That can't be possible. According to what I know, the energy used by Tianyun was not soul-devouring force. He would not have practiced the Empyrean demon arts. Soul-devouring force is more detrimental to him than beneficial. Suddenly, Houston became surprised once more. He cried out, "There seems to be another formation hidden within the blood-refining formation." Houston began to carefully observe the hidden formation. All his knowledge regarding formations originated from the Empyrean demon orb. If he did not have this item, he would not have discovered the formations hidden there even as a Saint Emperor. A while later, Houston gasped. He recognized the other formation hidden within the blood-refining formation. It was one of the many formations recorded in the Empyrean demon orb. It was called the Empyrean demon mirage, an extremely great illusory formation. Houston struggled to remain calm after he had discovered two formations recorded within the Empyrean demon orb within the Death Nest. At this moment, the Death Nest began to violently shake once more. A large swathe of sticky, red mist churned out from up ahead. Houston's expression immediately changed when he saw the mist because it was soul-devouring force that could be refined through the Empyrean demon arts. The soul-devouring force was several times more powerful than the soul-devouring force he could cultivate himself. Bang! 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 Muffled sounds reverberate through the blood mist. With every sound, the land shook. 100-meter tall, blood-red skeleton was obscured within the mist. It was radiating powerful soul-devouring force from every single bone. The blood-red skeleton even gave off a powerful presence that was enough to cause the world to tremble. This is a blood servant, one that has surpassed Saint Emperor. Houston exclaimed as he stared fixedly at the skeleton. Disbelief was written across his face. At the moment, he suddenly thought of the information he had learned from the Empyrean demon orb regarding blood servants. Blood servants were created with countless remains through the Empyrean demon orb before being nurtured with vile blood and essence. Its strength was equivalent to how long it had existed as well as the bones, vile blood, and essence that had been used to create it. A blood servant was the servant of practitioners of the Empyrean demon arts. There was a secret technique within the Empyrean demon orb to enslave them. They would not betray their masters, and they would follow every single command. They could be used to assist their masters in battle, and the soul-devouring force of the blood servants could be absorbed for cultivation as well. The skeleton did not attack Houston and, instead, stood there blankly. It stared in Houston's direction with its empty eye sockets. It had already sensed an intruder, but the intruder was actually in possession of energy that originated from the same source as it, which was why it did not attack Houston. Houston became extremely stern. Blood servants could not form by themselves. He did not even need to think to know that such a powerful blood servant had appeared here due to some other person and that person also knew the various secret techniques of the Empyrean demon orb. But fortunately, blood servants would not attack other practitioners of the Empyrean demon arts before they had received orders from their master. Otherwise, even a Saint Emperor would only be able to flee before such a powerful blood servant, and they wouldn't necessarily be able to escape successfully. Houston observed the blood servant and he became stunned, which was soon replaced by ravishing joy. He excitedly said, It's actually a blood servant that hasn't taken on a master. Houston's eyes burned with desire. Without any hesitation, he immediately began to create the blood servant's imprint. The blood servant's imprint was one of the many secret techniques he had learned from the Empyrean demon orb. It was used specifically to enslave blood servants. Within just a few seconds, Houston completed the imprint and sent it out with a wave of his hand. It shot out with lightning-like speed and landed accurately between the eyebrows of the skeleton. However, nothing happened even after quite a while. None of the signs of enslavement recorded in the Empyrean demon orb appeared. Houston became disappointed with this. He gently sighed and said, I'm far too weak, so I can't subdue a blood servant that surpassed Saint Emperor. Looks like I can only do this in the future. I wonder who has left behind such a powerful blood servant. Houston no longer paid any more attention to the blood servant. It was not like the blood servant would attack practitioners of the Empyrean demon arts by itself, so it would not affect him at all if he remained there. Houston shifted his focus back onto the illusory formation hidden within the blood-refining formation. The illusions were extremely powerful. With Houston's current strength, he could not create them, nor could he destroy them. However, he knew the way in. Houston still ended up entering the formation after hesitating slightly. He followed the method he had learned from the Empyrean demon orbs and made his way through the formation. Houston was extremely cautious. He checked every single step several times and would only take a step after confirming that it was completely correct. He knew that he would end up trapped in the formation if he took a single wrong step, and it would be very difficult for him to escape. After taking several hundred steps, Houston finally passed through the formation. At that moment, he felt his surroundings ripple as the landscape around him suddenly changed. He had already unknowingly arrived in an underground cavern. The cavern was round, around 30 meters across. The entire place was filled with dense soul-devouring force, and a 2-meter-long, square pool sat in the middle of the room. The pool was filled with blood-red liquid, which seemed just like blood. When Houston's gaze fell on the pool of liquid, he immediately became extremely excited. His head began to violently beat in an uncontrollable manner. He could recognize what the liquid was with a single glance. It was soul-devouring force that had condensed into liquid because of the high density of soul-devouring force in the cavern. I understand now. All of the soul-devouring force produced by the blood-refining formation above was actually all stored here. This death nest is basically a holy land made for practitioners of the Empyrean demon arts. Although I'm still uncertain as to who made this place, the soul-devouring force here has already become so dense, and the blood servant up above has not taken on a master either. The expert who created this place must have died if he did not leave. If I cultivate here and absorb the soul-devouring force in the pool, my strength will definitely skyrocket. Whatever. I may have reached Saint Emperor already, but that's only the beginning of the path of cultivation. I'll devote myself to cultivating here over the next few days, Houston murmured before sitting down beside the small pool. He began to practice the Empyrean demon arts. However, what he did not know was that when he had passed through the Empyrean demon mirage and was sent into the cavern by a strand of spatial force, the illusory formation had exploded apart with a boom. In the surroundings, there were even more powerful and even more profound formations that Houston had not discovered. These formations were connected to the Empyrean demon mirage. The explosion of the illusory formation led to the self-destruction of the other formations at the same time. Boom! 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 The formations were very powerful. With a string of violent rumbles, the powerful ripples of energy released from the self-destruction of the formations made the entire death nest violently shake. The formations that had exploded were extremely powerful trapping formations, which actually trapped the origin energy that had disappeared from the Tianyun continent for countless years. Now that the origin energy was freed, it immediately dispersed into the surroundings, but the entire place was still enveloped by a formation and a barrier, so the energy was unable to break free no matter what. An extremely powerful pulse appeared in the void. Another extremely vast formation appeared out of nowhere. If Jian Shen was present, he would definitely have been able to recognize the formation to be similar to the ancient teleportation formation he had seen in the Divine Hall of the Underworld sect. The only difference was that the formation in the Death Nest was even larger and even more profound than the one in the Underworld sect. At this moment, a violent gust of wind suddenly rose through the Death Nest. It sucked in all the origin energy from everywhere, causing it all to enter the huge formation in the end. The formation immediately began to shine with bright white light as it slowly revolved in the empty air, creating an extremely powerful pulse of energy. However, it was obscured by the barrier and formation outside the Death Nest, such that outsiders could not sense it at all. Everything was connected to the moment Houston passed through the illusory formation into the cavern and to the consecutive explosions and the appearance of the huge formation. As soon as someone passed through the Empyrean demon mirage and was sent into the underground cavern by the spatial force, the other formations would be activated. The illusory formation's self-destruction would activate the trapping formations containing the origin energy, and the origin energy would deactivate the huge teleportation formation in the air. This had all been planned by someone long ago. Chapter 1242. Ning Shuang. The teleportation formation glowed with a brighter and more dazzling light, before finally turning into a ball of blinding white light. It shone like the sun, completely illuminating all of the Death Nest. If it had been outside, the light from the formation would have been enough to turn night into day. The light was enough to engulf the entire continent, but it could only illuminate the entire Death Nest since it was obstructed by a formation and a barrier. Even if it constantly grew brighter, it was still unable to make it outside the Death Nest. The space within the huge formation pulsed in an extremely unstable manner. It distorted violently as a blurry figure gradually appeared. At the very start, it was only a faint shadow, but it consolidated at a visible rate before turning into the real thing in just a few seconds in the end. The white light from the formation gradually weakened before completely disappearing after a few seconds. The huge teleportation formation disappeared as well, having disappeared into the void again. The Death Nest also regained its gloominess as vile energies permeated the area and black mist churned, having returned to the way it was before. The only difference was that a person was now present in the air of the Death Nest. The person hovered there silently. Not only did he give off no presence at all, he did not give off any signs of life. The dense yin qi and grudges of the dead were unable to affect this person. Looking closely, the vile energies and black mist remained a constant meter away from this person. They were unable to approach the person, or dared not to approach in fact. He was a middle-aged man in white robes. His eyes were profound and his appearance was striking. He seemed to be 40 years of age from his appearance. Although he did not give off any presence, he unwittingly seemed to overlook everything when he glanced around. This was an indifference toward everything. If a person who had visited Mercenary City before saw this man, they would definitely discover that he was exactly the same as the sculpture of Mo Tianyun that stood in the center of the city. The only difference was that the sculpture of Mo Tianyun would give people the feeling that he was a drawn sword, revealing its edge to the world and that the world was beneath him. Meanwhile, the man in the Death Nest seemed much simpler. The middle-aged man looked around as he slowly gazed over every single part of the world. The familiar landscape had deeply touched his heart with his deep memories, causing his eyes, which were like unfathomable wells, to tremble ever so slightly in an uncontrollable fashion despite showing no emotion after so many years. Even slivers of excitement had appeared in his deep eyes. Suddenly, the man disappeared without any prior signs before silently reappearing in the cavern of soul-devouring force in the next moment. Houston did not sense his appearance at all as he cultivated beside the pool. The middle-aged man arrived in front of Houston and examined him. He frowned slightly. At that moment, a blood-red light suddenly flew out from between Houston's eyebrows. It was a thumb-sized orb, the Empyrean demon orb that Jian Shen had given to Houston. The orb slowly floated to the middle-aged man. Its red light flickered between light and dark as it passed on strands of thought to the middle-aged man. It seemed to be extremely happy. The middle-aged man stared at the Empyrean demon orb and said, "Empyrean demon orb, this person's talent is indeed decent, but it is nowhere near the level of a rare prodigy. Why have you chosen him as Ning Shuang's successor?" The Empyrean demon orb seemed to be able to understand what the man was saying. It trembled slightly and quickly flickered with a red light. It passed on strands of thought and was filled with a feeling of being wronged. It seemed like a little girl who had been bullied. The man became stunned before breaking into laughter. "So you met the azulate sword spirits of the sword sect of Violet Heavens, the leading sect of the 9 great sects of the Immortals world, and you were personally handed over by their master. Although his talent is lacking, you feared the sword spirits, and combined with his close connection to the master of the sword spirits, you chose him as Ning Shuang's successor. That sure has surprised me. I never thought that you'd actually come across Jian Chen while hiding in the Sea Realm and be brought to the Tianyun continent. The time we agreed on back then just happened to arrive as well, so you brought him here right after becoming a Saint Emperor." The Empyrean demon orb gave off another thought. It already possessed intelligence, but it could not speak. This was the only way it could communicate with others. The middle-aged man slightly furrowed his eyebrows. After a moment of thought, he said, "Your thoughts aren't too bad. Jian Chen's already become the master of the azulate sword spirits, and he practices the chaotic body, so he'll definitely control the sword sect of Violet Heavens in the future and become a great expert. Meanwhile, the sword sect of Violet Heavens is one of the 9 great sects of the Immortals world. They're extremely powerful, so if you gain a foothold with Jian Chen through Ning Shuang's successor, it'll be a good thing for both Ning Shuang and her sect. However, Jian Chen practices the chaotic body. The resources he needs for cultivation are difficult to provide even for peak-level organizations. It'll be extremely difficult for him to fully mature, and he's in a lower world of the Saints' world. Once he becomes strong enough, he can only go up to the Saints' world and won't be able to return to the Immortals' world. Without the support of large organizations, Jian Chen can only search for his cultivation resources by himself, but Jian Chen's identity in the Saints' world is just far too sensitive. In the battle that year, the immortal exalt of the sword sect of Violet Heavens slayed 2 Grand Primes with the azulate swords and heavily injured the Grand Prime of the Ice Goddess Hall. There were countless others below Grand Prime who were felled by the azulate swords, and the hatred of the Saints' world for him has already reached a bone-deep level. As a result, if Jian Chen's identity becomes publicly known in the Saints' world, it might even draw out a few Grand Primes who have remained hidden. Jian Chen will not be able to escape no matter what when he gets hunted down by Grand Primes. There will only be death for him. But what has surprised me is that Jian Chen is actually on good terms with a person of the Warring Gods. The people of the Warring Gods are born from the world, and they are born for battle. If they become Grand Primes in the future, they are invincible. Even the Nirvanic Immortal Exalt who had reached the limits of Immortal Exalt and was slightly more powerful than the Immortal Exalt of the Sword Sect of Violet Heavens was slain by the Grand Prime of the Warring Gods. In the end, the Grand Prime of the Warring Gods was killed by the Grand Exalt of the Sword Sect of Violet Heavens when he was heavily injured, yet Jian Chen is actually on good terms with a Warring God despite being the successor of the Sword Sect of Violet Heavens right now. This really is unbelievable. The middle-aged man paused after saying that. He then continued, "Empyrean demon orb, release Ning Shuang's soul." A speck of light, the size of a rice grain, flew out of the Empyrean demon orb. It glowed with faint light. This was someone's soul, but it was extremely heavily injured and weak to the point where the person was permanently unconscious. The soul was also near the stage of dispersing at any moment. The middle-aged man's gaze immediately became gentle when he saw the tiny soul. He slowly extended his right hand to carefully wrap the weak soul with a gentle energy. He softly said, "Ning Shuang, after several 100,000 years of searching, I've successfully gathered the souls of 999 radiant god kings. I'll use their souls to create a soul-nurturing formation to nurture your soul." A large number of specks of light suddenly surged from the man. There was exactly 999 of them. Every single speck represented the soul of a radiant god king. These souls had all been refined through a special method and were the size of a speck of dust. If it were not for the fact that they all flickered with a faint, white light, it would probably have been impossible to notice them with the naked eye. The souls of the radiant god kings all flew toward Ning Shuang's soul under the man's control. He created a soul-nurturing formation and stuck them close to her soul. Under the effect of the formation, all the energy within the souls began to leak out as strands before being absorbed by Ning Shuang's soul. After completing the soul-nurturing formation, the middle-aged man stared at Ning Shuang's soul with deep emotions. He said, "Ning Shuang, I've already arranged everything in the saint's world. You will awaken soon." The man stared at Ning Shuang's soul for quite a while before allowing the Empyrean demon orb to take back her soul. Afterward, he silently disappeared silently while the Empyrean demon orb returned to Houston's sea of consciousness. The middle-aged man returned to where the death nest was. He looked around at the gloomy place in mixed emotions as he gently sighed. "Your purpose has been fulfilled, so there's no more need for you to exist. It's time for you to end." With that, the man extended his finger at the empty air a few times. Immediately, a huge formation hidden within the void appeared and quickly began to revolve. The vile energy and churning mist in the death nest was all sucked into the formation before being converted into strands of pure soul-devouring force, which were then deposited into the pool underground. All the Saint Ruler, Saint King, and Saint Emperor vengeful spirits collapsed one after another, turning into black mist as they were sucked away by the formation. They were also refined into pure strands of soul-devouring force. The middle-aged man left the death nest and silently arrived in Mercenary City, as if he had teleported. He hovered in the air as he looked at the city below. He did not hide himself, but no one discovered his existence. Sigh, Xiaoling is far too lazy. It's been so long and she's only reached returnance. One of the 2 seals I had set down back then has been broken through as well. Looks like the remaining seal won't be able to last much longer either. With that, the middle-aged man's presence expanded. Without alarming Xiaoling, it easily passed through the tunnel deep below Mercenary City and entered the saint's world. Chapter 1243, Mo Tianyun. A while later, a sliver of surprise appeared in the middle-aged man's eyes. He sighed in astonishment. An unprecedented genius has appeared in the world of forsaken saints as well. He possesses such strength at his young age. He probably hasn't even cultivated for 1,000 years. However, they are a group of pitiful people, and I can't interfere with this matter right now either. I hope they don't make too great of a mess for the Tianyun continent in the future. The middle-aged man withdrew his presence and glanced at Mercenary City again before vanishing without any signs. When he appeared again, he had arrived among the mountains of the tungsten alloy mine near Flame City. He hovered several hundred meters in the air as he gazed down with an odd expression. He murmured, "I never thought that this place would give birth to the origin energy of a metallic spirit and that its innate talent and room for growth is greater than Xiaoling. However, at this rate, the spirit still needs quite some time. Oh well, I'll give him a fortune." With that, the middle-aged man left. The next moment, he had traversed an extremely great distance, appearing in the turtle clan of the sea realm. He appeared silently in front of Jian Chen, who was cultivating with 2 monster cores in his hand. He had completely bypassed the barrier of the sea race. The middle-aged man gently extended a finger toward Jian Chen and a droplet of essence blood immediately flew out of Jian Chen's chest. It hovered above the tip of his finger while Jian Chen felt nothing. Just when he was about to leave, he suddenly produced an interjection of surprise. He looked at the area between Jian Chen's eyebrows in interest and said, "The soul I had left at the Yinyang Saint Rock was just far too weak last time, so I was unable to probe deeply. I never thought that Jian Chen had obtained this item as well. Does that mean he can control Radiant Saint Force?" Radiant Saint Force is an extremely powerful and wondrous energy, but it's been heavily weakened on the Tianyun continent such that its strength cannot be displayed at all. If Jian Chen can use Radiant Saint Force, then he'll have one extra thing to protect himself with. The middle-aged man transformed into a strand of mist and drifted into Jian Chen's sea of consciousness. He entered the artifact space effortlessly and reformed inside. However, even the artifact spirit who possessed absolute control in the space failed to sense his arrival. The middle-aged man arrived at the only place within the space that was not controlled by the artifact spirit. A powerful formation sealed away the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force there and would only be unsealed once every 50 years, releasing the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force to give Radiant Saint Masters the chance at progressing to Class 7. He examined the formation and mumbled to himself, I wonder who put this formation here. He actually put a powerful formation that only those at Godhood can break through in a treasure that isn't even at the level of Saint artifacts. However, this formation cannot be forcefully destroyed, or it'll destroy this treasure as well. The middle-aged man flicked his finger and an extremely pure strand of energy shot out, striking the formation with lightning-like speed and disappearing into it. From within, it began to break down the formation part by part. He then silently left the artifact space before returning to the air above the tungsten alloy mine near Flame City. I shall bequeath you with a strand of origin energy to speed up your growth, the man said softly before pointing out. He sent another strand of extremely pure energy which shot through the tough tungsten alloy like a hot knife through butter, reaching the deep underground. Before the strand of energy, the tough tungsten alloy was as fragile as rice paper and was easily punched through. Finally, the energy passed through the various obstructions and fused with the origin energy of the metallic spirit hiding deep underground. Immediately, the ball of golden liquid wriggled slightly before solidifying at a visible rate. Up above, the middle-aged man flicked out the droplet of blood he had obtained from Jian Chen. It followed the passage carved out by the strand of energy and fused with the metallic spirit. In the Ice Goddess Hall, the silver-armored protector Shuang and the snow-white Changyang Mingyue stood in front of a pool that radiated with an icy presence. The water in the pool was transparent, but even while faced with a great coldness that could even freeze St. Kings, the water remained liquid and did not freeze. 3 fist-sized crystals floated on the surface of the pool at the very center and gave off an icy feeling. Your Majesty, each ice soul takes 1,000,000 years to form. In the 3,000,000 years I have spent here, I have finally waited until 3 ice souls have matured. All that it needs is a few months and the coldness within the ice souls will completely drain away and turn into extremely pure energy. At that time, as soon as Your Majesty's profound ice body fully matures, Your Majesty can directly absorb these 3 ice souls to recover Your Majesty's strength. Although the ice souls have only managed to gather enough energy to be on par to 10,000-year-old ice souls in 1,000,000 years due to the energy in this world, they should still be able to recover some of Your Majesty's power. Afterward, I will be able to take Your Majesty back and use ice souls of higher grades to fully recover Your Majesty's former strength, said Protector Shuang. Protector Shuang, can anyone absorb the energy within the ice souls once the coldness has completely transformed into pure energy? Changyang Mingyue asked. Her voice contained a sliver of eagerness and anticipation. Yes, that's true, replied Protector Shuang. Changyang Mingyue immediately beamed in happiness. She said, that's fantastic. I was worried that the coldness within the ice souls was too extreme and that my brother couldn't absorb the energy inside, but now I don't have to worry at all. Protector Shuang was surprised inside with what Changyang Mingyue had said. She turned toward Changyang Mingyue in disbelief and hurriedly asked, Your Majesty, do you intend on giving an ice soul to your brother? Changyang Mingyue seriously nodded, there's 3 anyway. I'll use 2 for myself, so what's wrong with giving my brother 1? An ice soul should increase my brother's strength by a lot. No, that cannot happen. Your Majesty, I've prepared these 3 ice souls for you specifically. Every single one is created through great difficulty. Your Majesty can only use them on yourself and not on anyone else. Protector Shuang said in a heavy voice. A sliver of cunning light appeared in Changyang Mingyue's eyes. She then sternly looked at Protector Shuang. She asked, Protector Shuang, do these 3 ice souls belong to me? These ice souls were prepared specifically for Your Majesty, for when Your Majesty recovers her strength, so they obviously belong to Your Majesty. Everything in the Ice Goddess Hall belongs to Your Majesty, in fact, Protector Shuang politely responded. Since they belong to me, I obviously have the right to distribute them. My brother's provoked so many people right now, so how can I endure him being trampled over by so many experts as an older sister? Protector Shui, I know you're thinking about me, but you don't need to say anything else about this. I've already made up my mind to gift my brother one of these ice souls so he can increase his strength as soon as possible. Once he becomes a Saint Emperor, the experts from the Tianyun continent and the Beast God continent won't be able to bully him, replied Shuang Mingyue sternly. Her voice was firm, clearly having made up her mind already. Sigh, Protector Shui gently exhaled. She knew that Her Majesty had already made up her mind, and nothing she did could change it. She just cared far too much for her brother. Protector Shui, I'll go cultivate first and make my profound ice body mature faster. If my brother or mother comes, you must contact me as soon as possible. With that, Shuang Mingyue left the room with the pool. Protector Shui remained by the pool as she stared at the 3 ice souls floating in it. She murmured, Her Majesty's closeness to Jian Chen has greatly exceeded what I've expected, and Her Majesty even wants to give him an ice soul now. These 3 ice souls are far too important to Her Majesty, so I can't let that happen no matter what. I need to stop it. If I prevent Jian Chen from seeing Her Majesty will definitely go looking for him on the Tianyun continent after her body matures with how much she cares for him, so she'll still end up giving away the ice soul. Jian Chen is the successor of the Sword Sect of Violent Heavens, and before she recovers her memory, she will not know what happened back then. Her Majesty will become enemies with Jian Chen sooner or later. If she gives him an ice soul, that would be digging her own grave and strengthening her opponents. A gleam of light flickered through Protector Shui's eyes and heavy killing intent flashed through soon after. She heavily said, Looks like I can only lay my hands on Jian Chen earlier to prevent this. At this moment, Protector Shui violently jerked. She suddenly stared outside the divine hall as her gaze became extremely sharp at that moment. Some shock was also present in her eyes. She suddenly vanished from beside the pool and immediately appeared outside the divine hall. She stood on the roof as she gazed up ahead with sharp eyes. A white-robed, middle-aged man currently hovered 100 meters in front of her. He did not give off any presence, nor did he give off any signs of life. He stood there with his arms crossed as he stared at the Protector at ease. Just who are you? Protector Shui growled as her heart churned inside. The man nonchalantly smiled and indifferently said, You may have never left this place, but you've secretly spied on me more than once in the past. You basically watched everything I did, so have you forgotten who I am so quickly? Tianyun, of course this king remembers you. I am asking about what your true identity is. Didn't you disappear with that sacred beast back then? Why have you suddenly appeared in this world again after so many years? Protector Shui kept her eyes trained on Tianyun. She already knew that she had been mistaken in the past. She had been tricked by Tianyun without noticing at all. Chapter 1244, Disaster of the Ice Goddess Hall. My true identity is not important, and I obviously have methods to return here, Tianyun faintly smiled. He was very much ease. He caught a glance of the 3 destroyed saint artifacts below and with a gentle wave of his hand, the destroyed pieces immediately flew over, still covered in a thin layer of frost. They hovered by his side. Protector Shui's gaze was very sharp as she stared unblinkingly at Tianyun. She did not stop what he was doing, however. Tianyun indifferently glanced over the 3 ruined saint artifacts. The thin layer of frost melted at a visible rate before dripping from the weapons. However, when the water droplets struck the freezing surface of ice below, they did not refreeze. Instead, they melted deep holes through the tough ice, as if they contained a terrifying amount of heat. In the blink of an eye, the thin layer of frost had disappeared and the suppressed glow of the treasures began to flicker. However, the glows were extremely dull. Tianyun slowly extended his hand to gently rub the broken places on the saint artifacts. His hand did not contain any presence of energy and seemed completely normal, but under his hand, the saint artifacts slowly closed up. In just a short while, Rui Jin's sacred dragon sword, Hong Lian's scorching godfire hairpin, and He Yu's machete had returned to how they had looked before. The two pieces had fused back together. At the same time, the origin energy that radiated from the three saint artifacts was actually even more abundant than before. Protector Shuai's eyes narrowed suddenly when she saw this. Her face became filled with disbelief. Destroying low-level saint artifacts was obviously a piece of cake for experts at her level, but repairing one was not simple at all. Tianyun had used a few short seconds to completely repair the three broken saint artifacts. There was no way she could have done something like that. With the saint artifacts repaired, Tianyun then pointed once at each of the three frozen magical beasts. With a crisp explosion, the thin layer of frost that had trapped Rui Jin, Hong Lian, and He Yu burst apart, scattering in the air as ice. However, Rui Jin, Hong Lian and He Yu did not recover immediately. Not only had the coldness frozen them into statues, it had frozen their energy and the signs of life within them, even their souls. However, with the layer of frost gone, the coldness within them lost its source, so it began to rapidly weaken. The three of them slowly recovered their frozen energies and signs of life. Their souls had always been protected by their pearls, so even though they had lost their connection to the outside world, they could still feel the coldness rapidly weaken very clearly. Without any hesitation, the three of them immediately used all they had to circulate their energy and purge the coldness. The residual energy dispersed very quickly with their full power, allowing the three of them to finally regain their freedom. Rui Jin, Hong Lian, and He Yu immediately opened their eyes. They saw a white-robed man standing with his back to them at first glance, separating them from Protector Shuai. Their origin energy weapons hovered in front of him. Rui Jin, Hong Lian, and He Yu looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with shock. They were not stupid, so they immediately realized that this person was definitely responsible for their escape. However, what filled them with disbelief was that in an age where even Saint Emperors were rare, there was another expert that had surpassed Saint Emperor alive. They were greatly affected by this piece of news. The three saint artifacts in front of Tianyun flew to them as streaks of light. At the same time, Tianyun's voice rang out, "Take these items and leave here. Immediately find a place to enter seclusion. Do not emerge until you become Saint Emperors. The Tianyuan continent will be in for war soon, and the outcome is difficult to predict." "Yes, Senior." Rui Jin, Hong Lian, and He Yu courteously bowed to Tianyun before leaving with their saint artifacts. Even after leaving, they wondered just who that man was, but before sovereign-like people who had surpassed Saint Emperor, they dared not ask. This was because they understood that even Saint Emperors would be as weak as ants before experts like him, let alone them, Saint Kings at great perfection. Protector Shuai did not even glance at the three of them. Her gaze was fixed on Tianyun for the entire process. Finally, she said in a cold voice, "Tianyun, have you come just to save them?" Tianyun shook his head. "I've used so much effort to come down not because I want to save them. I do however have some news regarding the Ice Goddess Hall, which I think will interest you." Protector Shuai narrowed her eyes and her breathing became slightly hurried. She had already left the Saints' world for over 3 million years. She had not heard any news of it the entire time. "What news? Speak." Protector Shuai's ice-cold voice became rather eager. She knew that Tianyun had probably come down from the Saints' world and that he knew the most recent news. However, she could sense something bad from the way Tianyun spoke. Tianyun said, "This might not be good news to you. Among the 4 protectors of the Ice Goddess Hall, all of them have advanced from God King into the primordial realm except for you, Shuai Yunlan, who has to endure the fact that you cannot make any progress in cultivation by coming to a lower world to wait painfully for the reincarnated snow goddess." "So what? Wu Han, Bing Qin, and Kai Xia's talent isn't any worse than mine. In such a long amount of time, it's logical for them to reach the primordial realm," Protector Shuai coldly replied. If that was the bad news Tianyun was referring to, she had no need to become so nervous. It indeed would be nothing if that was all of it. However, you probably would never have thought that Wuhan would become a traitor and would trap Bing Qin and Kai Xia. 2 of the 3 elders have fallen while the remaining one has fled with heavy injuries. Their whereabouts are unknown. The Ice Goddess Hall is basically under Wuhan's control now, and Wuhan has already entered the Forbidden Grounds to go to where the Ice Goddess is healing. She wants to lay her hands on the Ice Goddess while she is heavily injured, said Mo Tianyun. Protector Shui was greatly astounded. Mo Tianyun's news was just far too shocking, to the point where she struggled to believe it. Impossible, that's impossible. Even if Wuhan reaches the primordial realm, she'll only be an infinite prime at most. How can she become a traitor? And the 3 elders of the Ice Goddess Hall are all chaotic primes. It's impossible for Wuhan to be the opponents of the 3 elders. How could she have killed 2 of them? Protector Shui cried out. She had considered the fact that Mo Tianyun might be tricking her, but she could vaguely feel that Mo Tianyun would not use something so absurd to try to trick her. With Wuhan's strength, it's indeed impossible, but it's a whole different story if there's someone helping her, said Mo Tianyun. Who? Who is helping Wuhan? Protector Shui's voice became shrill and heavy. Killing intent filled her icy cold eyes. Nan Patian. Mo Tianyun stressed each syllable. Protector Shui shivered inside. Nan Patian? The Nan Patian of the Moon God Hall? Correct. The Moon God has disappeared. It's rumored that the Moon God died after failing to break through to Grand Prime. The Moon God Hall is under Nan Potion's control now. The elders of the Ice Goddess Hall suffered sneak attacks from him. 2 died and 1 was injured. Other than that, I learned that Wuhan is having an affair with Nan Patian. With that, Protector Shui suddenly jerked as sorrow filled her eyes. If her face was visible, it would have been sheet white. All of the members of the Ice Goddess Hall were female and every single member needed to maintain their purity. Having their bodies contaminated by men was an unforgivable crime. This was a particularly harsh rule for the 4 protectors. If one of them were contaminated by men, all 4 of them would be punished. Then what's the situation of Her Majesty? Protector Shui urgently asked. She had already guessed that the person who had actually moved against the Ice Goddess was probably Nan Patian of the Moon God Hall. Although the Forbidden Grounds of the Ice Goddess were protected by very powerful formations, Nan Patian was a chaotic prime. He was daring enough to lay his hands on the Ice Goddess, so he definitely had something he could rely on. That I do not know. This is all that I know actually. If you don't want the Snow Goddess to fall into the hands of Nan Patian, it's best if you don't return to the Saints' world. Even if you do, you can't go to the Ice Goddess Hall, Mo Tianyun sternly explained. Protector Shui calmed down very quickly. Light flickered in her eyes as she paid close attention to Mo Tianyun. Mo Tianyun, why are you telling me this? Are you connected to the Ice Goddess Hall in a certain way? Mo Tianyun's face suddenly sunk and instantly became filled with fury. He said heavily, I am not connected to the Ice Goddess Hall, but Nan Patian meddled with my affairs, so I obviously will disrupt his plans. Protector Shui came to an understanding with Mo Tianyun's explanation. No wonder Mo Tianyun had purposefully come over to tell her this. He had an enmity with Nan Patian. Mo Tianyun continued, there's something else. You're not allowed to touch Jian Chen here or interfere with any of his matters. You probably don't know who Jian Chen is. His existence is a hidden threat to our saint's world, replied Protector Shui coldly. She did not want her change her plans at all in regards to this. Mo Tianyun looked at her in scorn and said, Shui Yunlan, I know much more than you. However, I feel like you should consider how you will make it through the disaster of the Ice Goddess Hall and not do things that are rather pointless. At the same time, with Jian Chen's connection with the Snow Goddess, he might end up as a crucial figure in assisting you overcome this problem. Her Majesty the Ice Goddess was injured by the immortal exalt from the Sword Sect of Violet Heavens, and she still remains injured. Isn't the problem we currently face caused by that immortal exalt? We don't need the successor of the Sword Sect of Violet Heavens interfering with matters of our Ice Goddess Hall, snorted Protector Shui coldly. Then compare it to the survival or death of the Ice Goddess Hall. I have delivered my message, and I wish you all the best. Mo Tianyun did not say anything more. He threw that out before silently vanishing. Chapter 1245. Hall Master of the Heavens Spirit Hall Protector Shuang remained where she was after Mo Tianyun had left. The light in her eyes flickered as she deeply pondered her options. A while later, she gently sighed as she mumbled in a rather depressed manner, "Wuhan, is what Mo Tianyun had said true? Have you really betrayed Her Majesty? But why would you do that?" Sorrow filled her eyes. She really struggled to accept the things she heard as reality. Mo Tianyun said that Nan Patian has already gained control over the Moon God Hall. The Moon God's daughter, Hao Yu, appeared on the Tianyuan continent several tens of thousands of years ago. Did Nan Patian move against the Moon God's daughter after he failed to break through to Grand Prime and had her fall in order to gain control over the Moon God Hall? Protector Shuang mumbled. She had a vague feeling that the matter was not as simple as it seemed. I had never thought that the Ice Goddess Hall would face such a disaster after 3 million years. I originally planned to take Her Majesty back to the Saint's world after her profound ice body matured and after she had absorbed the 3 ice souls, but looks like I have to reconsider my plans now. If it was just me, I could die without regret, but Her Majesty can never be harmed. Mo Tianyun made his way to Dragon Island after leaving the Ice Goddess Hall. He levitated at an altitude of several hundred meters as he looked down at an extremely large island. The 10-meter altitude restrictions of the island were as useless as decorations against him. Living corpses mindlessly wandered across the entire island. They were not alive and they lacked self-awareness, but at the same time, they could exist indefinitely. They had been reduced to living corpses long ago, and some of them had even existed since ancient times. Mo Tianyun hovered in the air as he silently monitored everything below. He gently sighed before turning into a streak of white light, flying toward the Lunastron pit at an unbelievable speed. He passed through the formation in the depths of the pits like it was as simple as a stroll and departed from the world. Mo Tianyun passed through the void with the formation and arrived in a desolate world in the end. The place was boundless, but it was filled with a dead silence. It was desolate as far as the eye could see and without any signs of life. Even the sky was a gray, hazy mess without any sunlight present. This space is growing larger and larger. Mo Tianyun looked around and emotionally sighed. He then took a step and vanished after his foot touched the ground. He had traversed a great distance with that single step, arriving at the bottom of a huge crater. In front of him hovered 2 balls of light, one black and one white. It was the Yinyang Saint rock condensed from Yinyang Qi, but at the center of the rock was a bright red speck of light. It was extremely attention-catching. Mo Tianyun stared closely at the speck of light as he deeply frowned. His expression became extremely stern as he heavily said, "I never thought that the evil presence hidden within the Yinyang Saint rock would actually become more and more powerful where even the Yinyang Qi cannot suppress it. It's absorbing the energy instead and rapidly strengthening itself. If it manages to successfully grow, the outcome would be unimaginable. It might even cause a calamity. And I have no idea how this evil presence came into existence, actually hiding itself in the Yinyang Saint rock. Unless I explode the energy in the rock, I can't wipe it out. However, the Azulite Sword spirits are here, so they should have a way to deal with the evil presence. I only need to make some time for them." With that, Mo Tianyun silently pondered things for a while. A sliver of determination flashed through his eyes as he said, "Whatever. I'll just give up this clone and enter the rock using the energy to suppress it." With that, Mo Tianyun's figure became blurry. He turned into an extremely terrifying energy that split in half and both halves carefully entered the rock to suppress the evil presence hiding inside. However, only a third of the energy Mo Tianyun had transformed into was left when he made it to the center. 2/3 of it had been wiped out by the rock's energy. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Jian Shen sat in an airtight room within the territory of the Turtle Clan. Luminous pearls had been lodged in the surrounding walls and roof. They gave off a gentle light, providing the gloomy place with a faint radiance. Jianshan held 2 high-class monster cores that had almost turned to stone. He worked hard to absorb the energy that had almost solidified inside. Meanwhile, a large pile of empty monster cores were stacked in a corner of the room. Most of them had already turned into tough rock. Over the past few days, Jianshan had absorbed the energy from a large number of monster cores and refined all of it into chaotic force. However, his chaotic force had increased by an insignificant amount. Back when Jianshan was still on the first layer of the chaotic body, just a ruler armament or the skeleton of a saint ruler was enough to refine a strand of chaotic force. However, his chaotic body kept increasing, and with every increase, the amount of energy he required jumped up by at least 10 times more than what had been required before. The chaotic Niden in his dantian needed to be the size of a fist every time he moved up a layer. Just achieving that required countless strands of chaotic force, so the energy he needed to reach a new layer was unimaginable. The 2 monster cores finally ran out of energy in his hands. They were reduced to stones the size of half a fist. Jianshan casually tossed them into the corner of the room. Just when he was about to pull out another 2 cores to continue cultivating, his eyes suddenly froze. He immediately became rather stern as he sharply gazed ahead. The space Jianshan was staring at distorted by an almost undetectable amount. A phantom of a blurry person slowly emerged. At first, he was just a faint shadow, but after a few seconds, he had basically solidified completely, but he was still slightly ethereal. Jianshan suddenly stood up as he stared at the unwelcome guest who had suddenly appeared. He growled, "Sir, who are you?" Jianshan knew that the person in front of him was only a projection of a soul, but he still dared not to be careless. He was filled with caution. He could clearly feel that this soul was far stronger than his own. It was definitely a Saint Emperor, and this soul was even greater than regular a Saint Emperor's soul. "You can refer to me as the Hall Master of the Heaven's Spirit Hall, but how should I refer to you? Should I call you the ruler of the Turtle Clan, Jianshan? Or should I call you Changyang Shangtian?" The Hall Master asked with an extremely indifferent tone. Jianshan was surprised. The name Changyang Shangtian was only known by people of the Tianyun continent. Since the Hall Master knew this name, he had probably investigated his identity on the continent. Jianshan showed none of his surprise. He calmly smiled and clasped his hands at the Hall Master, "So it's the esteemed Hall Master of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. It is an honor for me, Jianshan." The Hall Master stared at Jianshan, examining him a little. He chuckled, "Jianshan, I never thought that the ruler's chi that only the sea race could possess would appear on you, a human. That really has surprised me. However, what has surprised me even more is that you're clearly a Saint King, yet you can pass through the barrier of the sea realm at ease. It really does make me very curious about the relationship you have with her, for her to help you out so selflessly. Hall Master, the reason why I possess the ruler's chi of the Turtle Clan is probably due to the fact that I accidentally ingested the Niden of a ruler from the Turtle Clan in the past. As for how I can enter the sea realm at will, that would be even easier to explain. As it is known, the barrier around the sea realm will only stop foreigners at the level of Saint Kings. Although I can display the strength of the 16th star when I use everything I have, my comprehension of the mysteries of the world remain at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. In a certain sense, I'm not a Saint King, so I'm obviously unaffected by the barrier. However, I am confused with what you mentioned at the end," Jianshan explained in a composed manner. Although he knew that his explanation was probably useless, the Hall Master would definitely continue to probe into why the sea goddess would help an outsider for no reason if he admitted that she had indeed secretly helped him in the past. Although Jianshan could sense that the sea goddess probably wanted him to enter the worldly ebb in search of certain items to rebuild her body, he could not let the Hall Masters of the Heaven Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall learn this. Both of them knew that the sea goddess' soul remained and was currently hidden in her divine hall. Jianshan knew that they both wanted to take her soul from the divine hall and then devour it so their strength could progress, or maybe even reach the sea goddess' former level of cultivation. It was just that the divine hall had always floated about in the sea of despair. It could not be found without the key, and even if it was found, it could not be opened. The abyssal crystal was the only key to finding and unlocking the divine hall. Jianshen, I'm one of the 3 rulers of the sea realm after all. I have an extremely good understanding regarding the barrier, and do you really believe that just the ingestion of a ruler's Niden will give you the ruler's qi? The hall master sneered. He did not give Jianshen any time to explain as he continued, Jianshen, there's no need to hide it from me. I know everything you should know, and I also know some things you shouldn't know. The reason why the sea goddess has found you and helped you time and time again is probably due to the fact that she wants you to assist her in rebuilding her body. Chapter 1246. Wiping out a Saint Emperor's clone. Jianshen was secretly shocked. He had never thought that the hall master would get everything correct to such a degree and would even know about the sea goddess situation. He had even been spot on with the secret about how the sea goddess helped him only in hopes of having her body reconstructed. Hall master, may I ask just what you've personally come for? Jianshen asked. He refused to believe that the hall master would lower himself and visit the territory of the sea goddess hall with his dignity as a saint emperor just to tell him these things. The hall master thought a little and continued, Jianshen, I've come to the territory of the sea goddess hall personally because I actually want to talk to you about cooperating. Cooperating? Jianshen was slightly stunned. He could already guess how the hall master wanted to cooperate, but he continued to ask in a curious manner, may I ask why the hall master wants to cooperate with me? My strength is weak, so I may not be able to help the hall master. The hall master gently chuckled, Jianshen, there's no need for you to belittle yourself. This deal can be made without anyone else except you, because my plan will probably be impossible for the rest of my life without you. He paused before continuing, you must know that the sea goddess has lost her body by now and that she's been reduced to a soul that is hiding in the divine hall floating through the sea of despair. The reason why you've received her help time and time again as a human is because she wants you to recover her body. I may not know just what method the sea goddess will be using to do that, but I have already determined that you are definitely a crucial part of her plan and that you will get closer and closer to the sea goddess soul in the future, or even enter the divine hall where her soul resides. Our cooperation would be for us to act when the opportunity arises and obtain the sea goddess soul together. You want to devour the sea goddess soul? Jianshen's heart sank slightly. The hall master had actually said something so reckless in such a flagrant manner. He was completely fearless. It was more than enough to see just how fearless he had become to fulfill his wild ambitions. He did not even worry about this information making its way to the outside world. The hall master sinisterly smiled, not devour, but fuse. I know a supreme secret technique that can fuse souls. With my current strength, I only need to fuse with half of the sea goddess soul, and then I'll probably be able to surpass Saint Emperor. The remaining half will obviously go to you. At that time, I will pass on this secret technique to you, so you can fuse with the other half. Although you might not necessarily surpass Saint Emperor, it'll allow you to reach the higher levels of Saint Emperor at the very least and make it so that it's extremely likely that you can break through to even greater levels in the future. Jianshen fell silent. His eyes flickered with light as he became uneasy. The hall master coldly smiled when he saw how Jianshen acted. He thought, the sea goddess may have helped you in the past, but you're not close to her. I refuse to believe that you won't take the lure now that I've shown you such a tempting thing. I obviously don't have a secret technique that can fuse with souls, but even if I did have it, it wouldn't be something you would be able to enjoy. A while later, Jianshen slowly raised his head. He stared at the hall master and said, you mean you want me to find a way into the divine hall to obtain her soul before giving it to you? The hall master was overjoyed inside when he heard that response. He could already guess that Jianshen had probably been hooked by his deal. He immediately suppressed his excitement in a forceful manner and shook his head. Although the sea goddess is just a soul, she's still someone who surpassed the level of Saint Emperor in the past. It won't be enough to deal with her with just you alone. You'll require my full power to suppress her. Jianshen, if you're willing to cooperate with me, I'll hide this clone of my soul in your body. Once you make it into the divine hall, I'll use this clone to suppress the sea goddess soul. Only like that can you remain safe. Won't the sea goddess see that you've hidden a clone in me? Jianchen asked in doubt. The hall master was confident. Although my strength is not as great as the sea goddess when she was in her peak condition, you have to remember that she's no longer that sovereign of the past. At the same time, my mastery over my soul has reached a level of perfection. With the assistance of an ancient secret technique, hiding away from the sea goddess is obviously no problem. Jianchen suddenly understood everything. He finally nodded his head after hesitating for a while. I'll cooperate with you. The hall master chuckled loudly and said, all right, all right, all right. Jianchen, I haven't misjudged you. You really are someone who can do big things. I believe you'll surpass Saint Emperor soon. Now please open up yourself and don't resist at all. I'll hide my clone in you right now. Jianchen nodded before sitting down. He closed his eyes and dropped his guard, allowing the clone of the hall master to enter his body without any worries. Seeing how Jianchen had indeed dropped his guard, the hall master could not help but sneer with his blurry face. His body faded and turned into a wisp of energy that entered Jianchen's sea of consciousness between his eyebrows. The hall master recondensed in Jianchen's sea of consciousness. He smiled as if his scheme had been successful. He indeed was quite skillful with his soul, which was why it was much more powerful than a regular Saint Emperor's soul. He believed that even as a clone, he could completely take control of Jianchen as long as he entered Jianchen's sea of consciousness. As long as I control Jianchen's body, I can use him to continue to interact with the sea goddess and then find an opportunity to enter the divine hall and devour her soul, so my soul can strengthen qualitatively. The hall master became extremely excited as soon as he thought up to there. But at this very moment, an azure ball of light and violet ball of light began to glow brightly in the depths of his sea of consciousness, engulfing the hall master in an instant. The hall master only felt the landscape in front of him make a sudden change. He had actually arrived in a vast, starry part of space without any reason. Countless experts clad in various armors fought intensely there as the terrifying ripples of energy destroyed galaxies and caused the entire universe to shake. He could even see a huge sword, 3,000 meters long, shining with a dazzling golden light. It produced a terrifyingly large sword chi that cut through several large stars in a single stroke before disappearing into the depths of the cosmos. Where is this place? The hall master became as white as a sheet in that moment. Even his clone that had been condensed from his soul trembled gently. He could clearly feel the terror of the people present. He could sense that even the weakest people present were countless times more terrifying than Origin Realm experts. As a mighty Saint Emperor in front of these people, he felt even more insignificant than an ant. This is impossible, this is definitely impossible. How can there be so many terrifying experts in the world? It's fake, it's fake. It's all fake, the hall master said with a trembling voice. He felt like he had fallen into an illusion and that his soul was about to be pressed to pieces by the terrifying presences of these people. At this moment, a violet sword and an azure sword suddenly appeared in the battlefield. They radiated with light so bright that they could not be ignored as they danced in the void. Wherever the two swords passed, the terrifying experts would immediately be slain without any power to resist like ants. In the blink of an eye, the entire place was filled with golden blood that gave off powerful ripples of energy. Without any doubt, the hall master felt that a single droplet of blood was enough to kill a Saint Emperor. He felt extremely shocked when he realized that a Supreme Emperor in the Sea Realm was not even on par to a droplet of blood. What terrifying swords are they? They're actually even more terrifying than these people. They're killing them like ants. The hall master shook more and more intensely. He had already begun to stagger back. He had become utterly frightened by the two swords. At this moment, something that filled him with terror happened. The two swords actually charged toward him, locking onto his presence. No, the hall master produced a horrified cry. He began to flee without a second thought. However, the swords moved just too fast. He did not even possess the power to escape. Arg! The hall master howled out painfully. He helplessly watched as the two swords impaled his body, causing his soul immediately faded by a lot. At the same time, he suffered from excruciating pain. However, the landscape before him suddenly disappeared after he became injured. He returned to the first space he had been in with azure and violet lights, which was Jian Chen's Sea of Consciousness. However, before he could become relieved, his eyes suddenly narrowed. Horror filled his face as the two terrifying swords reappeared 1,000 meters in front of him. Their tips were pointed toward him. The Hall Master became utterly terrified. This time, he did not wait for the swords to shoot over before he immediately fled. He wanted to leave Jian Chen's Sea of Consciousness. At the same time, the two swords shot toward the Hall Master a streak of lightning, impaling his soul clone once more and making it fade even more. The Hall Master clenched his teeth as he fled as fast as he could. He had already begun to regret entering Jian Chen's Sea of Consciousness. This was no Sea of Consciousness, rather an extremely terrifying hell. The battle among the stars he had just witnessed was particularly bad. It had utterly frightened him. A golden tower suddenly appeared just as he was about to escape from Jian Chen's soul, perfectly blocking his path with a dazzling golden light. Esteemed Hall Master, why are you in such a hurry to leave as soon as you've come to my Sea of Consciousness? Don't you plan on staying a little longer? Jian Chen's voice rang out from the side. He had already silently appeared by the Hall Master's side, forming a triangle encirclement around the Hall Master with the azulate swords and the Saint artifact. Nah, I changed my mind. I still have important matters to attend to. Jian Chen, let me leave first, the Hall Master said in horror. At the same time, he glanced at the azulate swords behind him as fear permeated the depths of his eyes. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.